lose the control. Uh-oh. God damn it.
Of the world, including in our own country, propaganda is not education. Propaganda, on whether it's TikTok or in the classroom, is actually the opposite of education.
So that is, of course, Hillary Clinton. Remember her and how she was as a politician? She's still that way. And there she's talking with Joe Scarborough about how college students were organizing against the war, against the massive, needless loss of civilian life in Gaza, are too stupid to have an opinion about it. They don't know the history of the Middle East. And you know what? They don't know the history of the U.S. either. They're a bunch of dumb donkeys, and they should leave politics to their betters. 30% of that was added by me. 70% of it was courtesy of the woman that weirdly lost in 2016. It's weird that she didn't rally more people to support her with that utterly condescending approach to the youngest generation. You notice there at the end that she, of course, labeled information being shared on TikTok as pro-Hamas and anti-Israel. And you may say that that's
line broke.
Oh. But I want you to put yourself in her place. She is opposing a massive anti-war movement. You don't want to cede that ground to them, so you don't say that they're anti-war. You make up something that sounds bad. Yeah, they're pro-terrorist. They love Hamas. That's the ticket. So basically, that's what happened. And, you know, there were people on the other side pushing back against this. We're going to give you a little bit of video of progressive filmmaker Michael Moore, who's criticizing people like Clinton who have no interest in what these college students actually believe, what they're actually advocating for. But I want to give you just a little bit more about Hillary Clinton.
With respect to the Middle East, they don't know that under the bringing together of the Israelis and the Palestinians by my husband, the then Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak, the then head of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, then the Palestinian Authority, Yasser Arafat. An offer was made to the Palestinians for a state on 96% of the existing territory occupied by Palestinians, with 4% of Israel to be given to reach 100% of the amount of territory that was hoped for. And this offer was made, and if Yasser Arafat had accepted it, there would have been a Palestinian state now for about 24 years. It's one of the great tragedies of history that he was unable to say yes.
I have to apologize for everything I said earlier. I didn't know that. Like most college students, I'm not an expert in Middle East history. Now that I know that they rejected the possibility of a Palestinian state, I now see that the 14,000 kids who've died in Gaza deserved it. And it's not a tragedy. It used to bother me. It doesn't bother me now. I don't care about the men, women, and children, civilians who were blown apart, many with bombs that we supplied. That used to bother me, but I didn't know the thing about Camp David. And so now I feel better. I hope every college student across America sees that. The protests will probably evaporate. Jank, what do you think?
Pausing here to deliver some honest truth as we do in our news coverage as well. TRT is facing challenges, guys, as the entire industry is. You know who can make the difference? You. If you hit the join button below, it's going to make all the difference and keep us in business. We appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah, so we're going to do a poll in a little bit and ask you guys who you think is right, Michael Moore or Hillary Clinton. So stay around to hear
Michael Moore
on the side. He's on your side. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, so part of the reason we're doing that poll is because I want to show you the difference between online media and mainstream media. She mentioned propaganda. She also mentioned, by the way, that the young people she just talked to were idiots. So if I'm the young person that just had a conversation with Hillary Clinton, I'm like, what? Okay, wait, are you referring to me? Okay, so anyways, no, she mentioned propaganda, and that's really relevant because who do you think might be doing propaganda? Let's think about the incentives. Either people who have been historically, literally paid by Israeli interests, like Hillary Clinton, who's taking a tremendous amount of money from AIPAC, and all the politicians who've taken tremendous money from AIPAC, and have an incentive to deliver in return for that money wall-to-wall propaganda on behalf of Israel. Israel is in the name of AIPAC. There's no subtlety about it at all, okay? So now, or mainstream media who serves corporate interests and has a corporate infrastructure and often literally has memos saying what you can and can't say, And if like with CNN, for example, that has some good pieces from time to time, but must check every story about Israel through their Jerusalem bureau. Is that more likely to produce propaganda or random young people on TikTok? Who are the random young people on TikTok serving? And why are they serving? Is Hamas paying them? Okay, the Palestinians who are starving to death are miraculously have gathered up money and are sending it to teenagers in Cincinnati and Nebraska. Okay, I'm pretty sure one side is doing propaganda, has an enormous incentive to do propaganda, and the other side are actual real human beings who care about what John mentioned. Maybe like when a 2,000-pound bomb is dropped on a building and it crushes the skulls of grandmothers and babies. And speaking of her propaganda, I'm so sick of this propaganda about how, oh, we just gave Arafat the most beautiful deal and he totally rejected it. And so that's why we decided to keep them occupied and our prisoners and hostages for another couple of decades, right? Number one, there's no excuse for the occupation. They should unilaterally end the occupation. You don't get to imprison and take 5.5 million hostages. Can the Chinese government say, hey, well, man, we offered the Uyghurs a deal and the sons of bitches wouldn't take it. That's why we have them in concentration camps. Now, they do say that, by the way, and the world thinks it's an outrageous thing to say, and no one believes them. But when Israel says, well, that's why we had to keep these folks in these camps here in West Bank and Gaza Strip, it's both factually incorrect, and even if it were true, is no justification at all. The reality of the peace deals is super complicated. One of the leading negotiators for the American side said Clinton is not telling the truth. It was the Israelis that were obstinate. I think Yitzhak Rabin, the leader of Israel at the time, was trying to get to a peace deal, but there was a deep problem on the Israeli offer for a peace deal when it was Arafat. Ehud Omer, a later Israeli prime minister, actually made a pretty good offer, in my opinion, that Mahmoud Abbas should have taken. But that doesn't mean, oh, that's why Israel slaughtering 34,000 people is okay, right? And by the way, the Palestinians have made tons of offers to the Israelis that the Israelis didn't take. Does that make Hamas's action on October 7th justifiable? Of course not. So why is that not justifiable when Israel kills 30 times the number of civilians, and Hillary Clinton goes back to decades ago to say, well, I didn't take a peace deal once out of the hundreds of offers back and forth. We'll only say the Palestinians did take. Well, the Israelis, by definition, didn't take hundreds of offers from the Palestinians. So it is pure propaganda. And the fact that she calls the other side propaganda is also propaganda. That's exactly what propagandists do. All right, I got more, and we got Michael Moore, but Sharon, your thoughts?
Listening to Hillary Clinton, I mean, just how condescending, talking down to us, anti-fact narrative. I mean, for some reason, she did it. She made me feel for the basket of deplorables by listening to her. That's how ridiculous she is. This whole thing where young people are too stupid to stand up for humanity. Stop with the false narrative, pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas. How about, I don't want to see women, children, innocent civilians die or be held hostage. But the other side has to keep it really simple, not just anti-facts, but really simple in order to keep playing this lie over and over again. And by the way, the president saying, if you go any further, I will hold up weapons. Do we really believe it? It's like this fake narrative to keep us asleep at the wheel. And then, by the way, let's send in the police, round up all the college kids, and have Hillary Clinton. I'm surprised she didn't dumb it down to, remember when my husband made the 2 leaders laugh? Remember that? It was just so clever and so easy and so cute. I can't listen to her. I can't listen to her, and her legacy, I think, is greatly impacted by this, if it can be anymore.
Yeah, and again, as I sort of alluded to in the intro, like you can sort of see why she wasn't able to win over enough people to beat Donald Trump and have us avoid so much trouble. She's just bad as a politician. I'm not even talking about all the issues that we've articulated over the course of like 30 years when it comes to the policy, just as the ability to communicate. Like, what she's talking about is boneheaded in 2 different ways. First of all, you do not need to be a subject matter expert to value human life. That's just not how that works. I hate what Russia is doing in Ukraine. I don't need to study in Moscow. to say that. That doesn't make any sense. And she would never apply that logic to any other conflict than this. She thinks it's an easy out here. That's why she's doing it. But even if it did make sense to do that, it wouldn't make sense to say it. Do you think that Hillary Clinton is going to win over one single college student with that argument? That they're going to be like, you know what? I haven't read a lot of books about Middle Eastern history. No, she's only going to anger them more. A movement that has been needlessly antagonized every step of the way. There are plenty of people that are part of this protest, and definitely were early on, that just wanted to see a ceasefire. They wanted to see the U.S. stop aiding and abetting mass murder. But there's also a ton of people who've entered the protests because of the crackdowns, because of the suppression, and because of the propaganda. Like you were attacking some of the aspects of propaganda, and there are a lot. So think about being one of these campus protesters and seeing every single person in the news describe you as being pro-Hamas. Or at the very least, if they're not going to say that, and not all will, anti-Israel. That is just propaganda. That's not journalism. They're against the war. That doesn't mean they're against a country. It certainly doesn't mean they're against a people or a religion. And if you were part of that group and you saw everyone in their fancy studios mocking you and besmirching you in that way, I'd be radicalized too. Now, as we said, thankfully there are some people that are trying to fight back against this. Let's go now to Michael Moore.
I don't understand why fellow boomers are being so snide and snarky about them. Or, you know, telling them they're a bunch of idiots. They don't know what.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Like, now, I think some kids are like idiots when they've been raised by social media and they're on some attack bullshit, like some attack artist bullshit, like they want to attack you all the time. And so I call them idiots. But honestly, I do not have this illusion that their generation probably has a higher IQ just quotient than my generation does, because we weren't raised on cell phones. Not until I was... The first smartphone I touched, I was like 19 years old or something like that. I think people forget that. But I was like, I was like 19, I think, was the first time I ever touched a smartphone. Like, I had a BlackBerry when I was like 17, I think. Or no, I didn't have a BlackBerry when I was 17. That was like way later, when I was like 22 or something like that. But yeah, like the first smartphone I ever saw was my best friend had like an iPhone way back, and I want to say 2004 or something like that. Yeah, and at that point I would have been like 21 or something like that. I didn't have cell phones till I was like old enough to drink. They've had cell phones since they were 5. That's a big fucking difference. And to say that like they're dumber than us is like, you know, discount their generation. I've said it before on my stream. Discount their generation at their own peril, you know?
They're talking about, they don't understand the history. They don't. Jeez, you know, what they understand is right and wrong. And the fact that they are not apathetic and they don't want to be silent. These are all very positive things. Yep. And you may not agree with everything they say or do.
I'm not empathetic to the Republicans and the Democrats. I'm not. And I'm old too. I'm old. But I stand like with them. I tend to have the same like opinions as them, except for Trump and shit like that. 2200 for these. Yeah, the masterwork material converters. I don't know. I don't really want to spend all that. An hour and a half? Yeah, an hour and a half. It just resets. Well, that's cool. What's my progress with this? Is it like... Oh, good, I'm almost to 5. That's alright, whatever. So, okay, what else do I need to do here? Defeat Ancient Guardian at Shattered Obelisk. That's a quest, is it? Defeat Ancient Guardian Forever Fall. Yep, flag for PvP. I guess I'm done here. Controlled by Marauders. completed ever stall ever. Okay, well, I'm gonna go back now.
But nonetheless, they're not out there to hurt anybody. They've not
no, I think we're like we've demonized the youth just because they're addicted to social media, and that's not okay. I love the youth; they're okay. I think some of them have issues, but I think overall, I don't think they're any better or worse than anybody else, you know, or any other generations. I don't think we're better than them. I don't, you know. I think it's more that, like, I don't know.
hurt anybody, and yet they're ridiculed in the media, on the internet.
It's really as simple as that. Again, they know the difference between right and wrong. I guess your ability to control them has not extended to the ability to get them to not see that. And look, well, I saw Nate Silver put out a tweet about how all these college students and these elite campuses are so removed, they're not representative of anything. He's the numbers guy. He's the polling guy. And when you look at the polls, yeah, no, they are largely reflective of the fact that the younger you are, and especially in the youngest demographic, you're the most likely to be critical of the U.S. involvement in what's going on in Gaza. So you can see percent saying that the way is.
You know, it's weird. I'm old and I'm extremely critical of it. I would take them to task and lecture them for a long time about it. I don't think. I think that's turning your back on your own people. Are you giving money to them right now? With how the streets look in America. It's kind of like betrayal to me a little bit.
Israel is carrying out its response to October 7th is unacceptable. It's 46% of those aged 18 to 29. Acceptable is 21, far less than half the amount. Now, the numbers are obviously very different as you move up to the older age categories, but this is actually largely reflective of what the youngest people think. And so, the idea that who is Joe Biden favoring? 36% of 18 to 29-year-olds saying he's favoring the Israelis too much. Far more than those who think that it's the striking the right balance or favoring the Palestinians. So they're doing what they can with the rights that they're supposed to have, but now largely do not, to send a signal to their government that they don't approve of this. This is supposed to be a democracy. They're supposed to be able to have their voice be heard, but unfortunately they're using it to say something that those in power don't want to hear, and thus the boot of the state is put on their neck almost instantaneously.
Yep.
Yeah. So, first of all, like I said, fun poll for you guys. You'll see the link in the description box, and you always get any links that we refer to, tyt.com/team to sign up for membership. Any of those links are always in the description box. But this is about who do you think is a better understanding of the student
I gotta shut my door. It's freezing in here.
Or Michael Moore. And part of the reason that I'm asking this poll is I don't think that Hillary Clinton's going to win this one, to be honest with you guys. You could surprise me. But it's because if you ask this on Morning Joe, they would find it to be a laughable poll. They'd be like, of course Hillary Clinton is right. This buffoon, Michael Moore, supporting Hamas and blah, 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 whatever propaganda that they're doing, right? Remind me who was right about 2016, Michael Moore or Hillary Clinton? Michael Moore warned that Hillary Clinton was going to lose. And he said, I'm not doing it because I want her to lose. I'm doing it so she turns around and doesn't lose.
Yeah.
And she said, I know everything. Yeah. You people have to vote for me. I'm entitled to your vote. And if you don't, you're stupid and uneducated. How'd that turn out, Hillary? I mean, like, YTP Renewed is a member, wrote in on Super Chat. Why does anyone listen to anyone who lost to Trump? That's a great question. Trump is a grade A moron and a monster, and you're so bad at politics
that you lost to him.
That you lost to him, and now you're cutting
it's true.
Advice on what we should do.
I love smart people that have fallen to the tribalist war, and we can just make fun of all these idiots because they're both worthless. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I don't think so. Last thing for me is, guys. On October 7th, 860, a little bit over 860 civilians died in Israel. Also, a bunch of IDF soldiers died too. And all of it is a tragedy, but especially the civilians, of course. That's out of bounds. It's terrorism. It's terrible. It's wrong, right? 860. So our hearts broke for them. We told you right afterwards, terrible, awful. Now, on the other side, we've got at a minimum 34,500 dead, 10,000 buried in the rubble. The numbers on both sides on those two things are probably much larger. We've got 77,000 injured. We can go on and on. There's no dispute that at least the bare minimum 24,000 women and children have been killed in Gaza. 860, and that includes males, it includes everybody on the Israeli side, versus 24,000. The only way you would say that 24,000 dead, innocent women and children on that one side is not enough, Israel should keep going and kill more Palestinians, is if you've been fed a nonstop diet of propaganda. Because any decent person would say about both of those things, don't, oh, that 860 is terrible, don't do that. And the 24,000, the 34,000, the 44,000, don't, that's awful. And in fact, literally 30, 40 times worse. But if you heard propaganda that Israel's the most moral army in the world and all of those deaths were accidental and they didn't intend a single one of those deaths, golly gee, they just don't know how to shoot straight. But the dirty, savage Palestinians meant every death, but the Israelis meant none of the deaths. The only way you would believe something that absurd is if you were fed nothing but propaganda by establishment figures like Hillary Clinton and Joe Scarborough. That's the show that she was on. Sharon.
Yeah, I mean, remember what Chef Andreas told us? Remember there were 3 precision strikes, but hey, who's counting? It was all an accident. And the sad part is, the first part of your statement, Cenk, was about how much October 7th was a tragedy. The numbers, the hostages, the IDF soldiers. But it's like when you say that, nobody heard that part. And it's also that when you put up the numbers of those civilians, Palestinians, women, children, dead, it's not that they are real people. It's like when slaves were counted in that compromise as 3/5. I don't even know if we're counting innocent women and children who are dead as that much of humans. And the world is infinitely less safe because of this. Because if you add up the casualties and you, I don't know, times 100, those are the people who weren't part of Hamas, who, despite everything going on in their backyard, didn't join hate, who now have no reason, their families, their loved ones, not to hate more. And I'll say this about what Michael Moore said. You know, the civil rights, all these strong legacy leaders, and we're losing them now, so many of them, as they are aging out, if you will. Only John Lewis saw the value, really, in young people, in the movement, and Black Lives Matter, and all of that. It's as if you get to be a certain age and you forget how young people were thoughtful and organized and changed the world. This propaganda routine is shameful, and the way you break it down and money and everything else is criminal and devilish. I don't know where it's going to end if we don't have some kind of sensibility in the morning Joes.
Most humans will just take advantage of you now if you see them. They don't care. Most humans are such garbage now. Like, I swear to God, like, MMOs were not like this when I was a kid. That I will say about their generation. They have no respect for each other at all. If there's something they can do, they'll just do it to have, like, take an advantage or like, play you or whatever. Like, there's no sense of camaraderie or honor with honor. I would say honor is a concept that their generation is aware of, but I don't think they have a lot of it. They're smart though, and they have the best grip on technology and Google and AI and all that. But yeah, honor or something that the identity crisis generation kind of had a problem with, I think, a little bit. I think Griftonomics and all the Bitcoin bullshit. God damn it. Maybe I can get the credit for this one at least. He killed it before I could get there. Nice. Yeah, that's fine, whatever. now, okay, some turn in again, I guess.
Mainstream media to just pull out the truth.
Yeah, it's like the Bill Maherization of everyone in politics. Like you reach a certain age when now all these young people, they think they're better than me. They think they know more. They think they have value.
Oh God, I don't think anything about that. I think they are better than me. They're younger. They're stronger. They're smarter. They're younger. Is that hard? I don't know. Like I think they're better than me. I think they probably have more money and less problems. They're younger and stronger.
He's more in line with the modern era. Screw them. That's what it feels like, honestly.
Yeah, that's the last thing I'll say on that, John.
I don't feel that way.
I think you're onto something there, and I think that, but I'll add an extra layer to it, which is that they're super mad that their propaganda isn't working anymore. They're like, what do you mean? Bill Maher said it on HBO, Joe Scarborough said it on MSNBC, Greg Gutfeld said it on Fox News, and almost everybody said it on CNN, although CNN actually has been better than the rest in this particular story. They're like, and you guys still don't believe us? We already did our job of brainwashing you, but you refuse to be brainwashed because you're on TikTok now. Let's ban TikTok. And that's actually kind of exactly what happened. And the other day, Mitt Romney and Anthony Blinken weirdly admitted.
Well, but I got credit for it though. I got credit for the quest, I guess. Wait, did I get the loot? I don't see the loot. I didn't get the loot, but I got the credit, which is really weird. It like didn't want to give me the loot for the thing. But it did want to do... Oh, yeah, infused armor fragments. I forgot about these. Yeah, these things break, don't they? Yeah, they salvage into repair parts. Yay, good. I have all those fish. The fish might sell. Maybe I should sell them.
Main reason they were banning TikTok was because they thought there were too many videos against Israel. Remember, that's the United States Secretary of State and a United States Senator. They're not in the Knesset.
And also, before we close, I just want to, you gave credit to CNN in some aspects of the story. They also, just in the last day, broke the story of the whistleblowers at the detention center in Israel, and they unveiled some of the horrific conditions as well as torture that a lot of Palestinians are experiencing. So now everybody is equally bad in all ways. The media overall could certainly be better.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. I really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you got to do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.
We find ourselves in this situation where both sides are literally siding with enemies of America rather than the opposition party within the country. Fox News literally uses Russian talking points. I mean, Tucker Carlson went over there and did the whole dog and pony show, backing up Putin, basically. And on the left, you see them marching for Hamas, a terrorist organization. This is a terrible place to be, and it can happen here.
That was Bill Maher speaking to Fareed Zakaria on CNN and equating the right-wing support of Vladimir Putin to left-wing pro-peace, pro-Palestinian protesters on college campuses.
That's what he thinks of pro-Palestine? Oh my God.
Who we recently learned are heavily funded.
Is it that crazy to you guys that some of us might actually like both sides? Is that weird of a concept to you? You have to side with the Jews or the Palestinians or one or the other. I like both sides. It's okay. I think it's okay to like both sides. I think they're both wonderful cultures. I don't care what you think about them. I don't. They're not you. I don't care what you think about them. You guys have lost your way. Your judgment is off the hook. You think you've taken over God's job, and you can just judge everybody on the fucking planet for not being like you. I can like both. I can like both sides.
Family, by the way. Now, that's a story that we'll cover in detail tomorrow. But during this interview, Bill Maher also attempted and failed to prove that he isn't a massive hypocrite for smearing these student protesters. Let's take a look.
I heard a couple of people say, or maybe they wrote it online, that, well, I'm a hypocrite because you were for the demonstrators in 1968 or whatever it was when they were demonstrating against the Vietnam War. Yeah, that was very different. First of all, the students weren't against their own. These students were threatening others.
So this guy's selling 1,575 medium salmon, which he's got to be a fish bot, but I think there's a lot of money in taking that offer, actually. I think there's a lot. Well, I don't have any money. No, wait. No, he does. He's got 1 for 4. Okay, I'll take the 1. That's it. Yeah, 1574. Can I get a higher count than this? Or... What? Maybe it's just glitched. Let's see if it's glitched or whatever. That is so weird. I guess you can't buy bulk medium salmon. No, you can't. But you can buy a lot of it, which I'm going to do. I'm just going to crack all of them. Or whatever, I'll buy 10 or whatever. I think this is a lot of money. I think fish fillet is actually really good money. So let's go see what the conversion rate is here. Yeah, so where are these fish at? Like, are they... Yeah, they're right there. Yeah. Salvage. Yeah, all 7 of them, yeah. 3 fish oil. Fish oil does sell, I think. So if we look at fish oil... Fish fillet... I did not really make my money back on... Oh, fish fillet does sell, though. Fish fillet does sell. So, maximum number of orders already created. Damn it. Fish oil does not sell. Fish oil doesn't sell, but the fillet does. The fillet does sell. Now, okay, that seems kind of weird. My orders are messed up, some of them, I'm sure. Anything that's default to 100, you know, at 21 a piece of rich meat and roundels will not sell for those, no. That won't sell for that. See, I wondered sometimes if you're messing me up really bad. You are. Look at you. But I got all the stuff, I think. Yeah, that's all the stuff, I think. Yeah. So, oh yeah.
Students, that didn't happen in the Vietnam War. And being against the Vietnam War made sense. It was a war that we probably should...
We were against the war, but I mean, I don't know why you couldn't be pro-US, pro-Viet Cong, pro-VC, pro-Cambodia, pro-everybody. Why can't we be pro... Like, I feel that a real man should abandon the notion of power over... And a real man embraces the notion of power of these places. And you make these like but like you make these sweeping judgments by anybody who might be sympathetic to your enemy. But I don't think Israel or Palestine are our enemies. So why can't we like both of them and want war to end for both? Do we need to back one side or the other? Are we more friends with one than the other? I don't really think so. I think we've told ourselves that we are, but I don't think we actually are. I think if we were to like just like take a look at history, and then have our diplomats write out some kind of approach to it, I think we're gonna find that, you know, 69. Okay, 31 and 69. I think we're gonna find that it would be a lot better to have as for America's. One of the things I think that the Democrats and the Republicans really fail at is they always think they always think in us and them terms. They never think of just us, right? It's always us and Israel, us and China, us and Russia. But why can't it be us? right? And why can't we just be friends with all of them and have a policy that our diplomats tell people when they talk to people, where yeah, we're the world's friend, and we're the youngest country in the world. I think we are the youngest country in the world, short of what, Australia or something. I don't know, but I mean we're like one of the youngest countries in the world. We've only been around for 350 years. That doesn't make us bad. It makes us good. So our policy should be remaining friends at all costs. It shouldn't be Cold Wars or sending bombs or guns. We say, "Oh, yeah, Israel, we really love you. You know, we're friends with you, and we have many Jewish people in our country, and we love you to death. But we can't make enemies of the Palestine people. And so we can't back you in anything that you do if you're in war with them. And I'm sorry, Palestine. We can't back you either if you wish to go to war with Israel. We can't back either of you. That would make it so that we can't be friends with either of you guys. A good mediator friend or whatever just doesn't get involved and doesn't back one or the other. But it seems like our leadership has been bought by a lobby who wants to support Israel over Palestine. And I don't think that's very American. I think the American thing to do is remain friends with both of them and do nothing if their friendship requires something from us that would hurt the friendship of the other. And I think the whole world would look up to us if we were like that. It's kind of like high school politics. You say, "Oh no, I'm not gonna. I understand that you guys are dating each other or whatever. You can't seem to get a room, but go get a room. You guys are always trying to at each other's fucking throats. Just like make love and get a room or whatever. You're at each other's throats all the fucking time. I think you're butt buddies and you just haven't been like honest about it. But whatever. I don't know what it's like to be in a Hatfield McCoy, fucking feud. We live in terror of those in America. We live in terror of Hatfield McCoy. I don't know what it's like to be in Palestine-Israel conflict, and I don't want to know, And I have a lot of sympathy for it, but I don't have a lot of sympathy for any American diplomats or leaderships or any of this that say that we should go over there and back one or the other or not, or show one more than the other. And while Israel might be a stronger friend to us than Palestine, or vice versa, I still don't see how. To me, they're just not American. So we treat them equally as friends. And when they say, "Oh my God, I gotta go cap this motherfucker. He jihaded me again," or whatever. As America, you say, "Well, I'm sorry, but you know how this works. I like both of you guys and I will not pick a side." Is that hard to fucking say? But it's not. If you're an honest American, but these aren't honest Americans that got us all up in debt and sending money overseas and paying hoes overseas. You know what's going to happen. If we're paying hoes overseas, what happens to our hoes here? It's just so stupid. Anyways, or whatever. I'm not saying like people are hoes. I'm just saying that it's just like the same thing. You don't pay these people to get in their blood conflicts or their religious conflicts. What the fuck are you fucking thinking? You never should have backed one or the other. It's just not American. I don't see a lot of thought in most of the things that you do outside of your lobbies and the fucking the deals and agreements that you made in the background that you have to honor that the American public would never touch. I don't think the American public would ever get behind. I think if you had a cell phone vote, you ran a cell phone and a question to every adult in this country, would you like us to support and send money to Israel, or would you like us to support and send money to Skid Row in LA? They're going to be like, "Nah, Skid Row." They are. They're going to be like, "Well, we really are. I got a ton of Palestinian and Jewish friends or whatever, Israeli friends. And, and all this." And they're like, but trust me, all the Americans, if you were to really poll them and give them a choice, would you rather spend $200 billion on Israel or Palestine or Ukraine? Or would you like to make Skid Row not a thing anymore in LA? And just get those people out of there. Get them homes, get them places, get them jobs, get them therapy. Go attack that motherfucker like you seem to want to go get to some world war, and I want to see what you can do. You always brag about your submarines and your bombs and your guns and your fucking war machines and your wars and shit. But I want to see what you can do to heal people. I think you're good at stuff that's really fucking easy. And I'm going to break it to you how a fucking asshole would say it to somebody who's like violent or whatever, right? It takes 9 months to gestate a fucking human life. It takes 18 years to mature it. It takes, you could do the Breaking Bad thing about all the chemicals that it takes to make up the human body, just the chemicals in the world that it would take to produce the human body and what it takes in all this. There's a lot of different ways that you can look at it. But I'm going to hit you like this, right? What does it take to take a human being out of the world? Just a flash second of a bullet or a bomb or a gun or a fall or something like that. It takes like a second. You guys think you're so fucking skilled because you have all these killing machines and these bombs and these fucking wars and these religious blood wars and all these problems with land and, the fucking Zionism and all this, right? And I look at it and I'm like, yeah, y'all seem to really think that you're so skilled because you can kill people and you have bombs and guns and tanks and drones and religious wars and shit like this, right? But I think you're fucking pussies. I think the death and the bomb and the guns and all that shit, that's all the easy way out. It's easy as hell to shoot the guy. Shit takes a second. It's exactly like coming in a woman. It's easy to come in a woman. It's not easy to raise the child for 9 months afterwards or 18 years afterwards, right? So it's pretty easy for the man to just think about how easy it is, Sex is like this. Sex for the man is a second long. There's no commitment or anything like that for the man. No, it's not their body for 9 months or anything. So, of course, we lose Roe versus Wade because you just can't walk in the shoes of anybody else, right? So now I want the rest of the world to walk in the shoes of America, the world's friend. Everybody thinks of us as the world police. I don't want that title. I don't want that image. I want to think of us as the world's friend. And we don't choose sides, and we don't get in conflicts, and we don't shoot nukes at people if they shoot nukes at people. We don't do this other stupid shit that leads to world wars or any of this other stuff. We just say, oh, we love Canada. Oh, we love Mexico. Oh, we love Russia. Oh, we love China. We eat all of their food all the time. We hang out. We play with their kids. We play with each other on the internet. We play Call of Duty with those people all the time, or EVE Online, or whatever. We love our global brethren. It's goddamn stupid to say that we don't. You know what I'm saying? It's fucking stupid to say that we don't. So you're so good at just snuffing out life. I mean, you want me to give you credit to you for that. You want me to buy or fund foreign wars and all this stupid ass shit. I want you to show me the strength as human beings that you can heal somebody. I think it's pretty fucking easy to snuff some human being out. There's 7 billion of us. I challenge you. I challenge you to a fucking, Mahatma Gandhi approach to it. Y'all know how to kill and bombs and drone each other and all this shit in Afghanistan and Graveyard of Nations and all your stupid foreign policy and all your fuck-ups as the American government, right? And I'm not out here to get you. I'm just saying that why can't we be friends with both of them? Why can't we be friends with both Ukraine and Russia and say we can't get involved? Hasn't that always been what we do? Why can't we be, this is how it should have been with Germany and Britain. We should have been like, we like both of you. And we don't want to get involved. And Britain goes, fuck that. You owe us for World War I or whatever. And Germany goes, it just fights us. And I and I don't know. I don't, but I still think if we had good, non-bipartisan, shithead Republicrats running us out into that Bermuda Triangle of foreign fucking policy that led us to this dire straits that we're in. With like 2 world wars essentially breaching, and it's just crazy. It's just what, and now I look at it and I'm like, couldn't you just have been smart and actually been the badass American that you believe yourself to be? It'd be like, I'm the Tips Fedora, Indiana Jones in this motherfucker, and I don't shoot anybody. You know what I'm saying? I say, nope, I'm friends with them. I'm friends with them. I'd stay friends with you until you attack me. And I think we would have found that, yeah, nobody ever really did attack us except ourselves. You know? We attacked ourselves with 9/11. I don't believe some fucking fallacy, some fucking lie about some fucking person from over there, you know, taking our planes or some such. I believe in the CIA. But anyways... you know, I believe that they exist. I don't believe in them. Just to clarify. But anyways, I think that now we need this strength to just not get involved. We've acted as a child since World War One. We've got involved in every single goddamn squabble in this fucking world. We got involved in Vietnam. We got involved in World War One. We got involved in World War Two. We got involved in Afghanistan, Kosovo. Fucking now we're involved in like Ukraine and Russia and fucking Israel and Palestine and all this. And yeah, we being friends, we say we like both sides. We want to help both of you. We won't stand by while you commit war atrocities or any of this other stuff. But I think you kind of cut it off there. You lied to the American public somewhere in there about the lobbies and the deals that you've made with these other foreign interests. And I think you lied to the public about why you're there or what you want us to believe about it or what your fucking roles in it was as our leadership or any of these other things. And every time I see a Killary up in front of CFR selling us out, I think about how, I think what you're doing in the background is like all the stuff that we always kind of imagined about you. You're wheeling and dealing in the fucking background, doing things that we're terrified of you doing. You're kibitzing with Russia. Honestly, it's okay to be friends with Russia, but that's it. It's okay to be friends with Russia. That's it. It is not okay to be enemies with Russia. It is not okay to be a friend of Russia's enemy. Etc. So sure, we back Ukraine, and I back Ukraine more than I back Russia, because what the fuck is Russia doing in Ukraine? But I like both of them. And I don't know, stuff like this is why I stopped going live. I don't want to throw bombs and start a revolution overnight where they suddenly just throw me up in front of everybody and they're like, lead this country. I don't want that. So I stopped being live. I want to sound like a crackpot, you know? I want to sound crazy. I don't want some army. I don't want some political party. I don't want to be Hitler or any of these other fucking crazy things. I really don't. I don't want to be some fucking like leader or some like just some kind of revolutionary person or Che Guevara or anything like this. I don't want to be some solution to the world's problems. I just really cannot stand how stupid this not only the world government leadership has been, but our government leadership has been. And it's kind of like it's like a football game where at the end of the football game, if they if the enemy team gets that scores that winning touchdown or whatever, to put it in the fucking American vernacular or whatever, we're playing this game of Russian roulette football, where like at the end of it, a world war could happen. You know, we're playing this game of Russian roulette football where we're like we got to get involved in every single thing overseas. We can't just be friends with everybody. I think if you were to find that we were to maintain friendship with everybody the fuck else, I think you would find that we don't have all of these problems that you say we have all the time. I don't think we have the problems with Mexico in the Mexican border that you say we have all the time. I don't think we have the problems with Russia that you say we have. I don't think we have the problems with China that you say we have. I think these are people that are just trying to make their people successful just like us. And they're vying for world power just like us. But I mean, like, the difference is, I don't see why we must sacrifice our fucking dignity by picking a fucking side. They haven't attacked us. They're our friends. So we say, yeah, we've been homies. We've been dealing with you. We love you. But you know how this goes. If we shoot up your enemy on the block, his homie is going to shoot us up. You know how this works. Are you too stupid to not have never ran in the ghetto or ran on the corner or something like that? Maybe you never ran a business or something like that, but you know how this fucking works. If I shoot up or help Israel shoot up Palestine, or I shoot up Israel for Palestine or something like that, right? Or if I shoot Palestine for Israel, or if I shoot Russia for Ukraine, or if I shoot Ukraine for Russia, if I don't do anything but remain friends with all of them, and to me, a good, strong friend does not... Okay, so let's say, I'm gonna use like a House MD metaphor, because I think these idiot fucking politicians who want to tell the world they're geniuses at work or whatever are actually really goddamn brain dead compared to even me. So I'm just gonna hit you with like a strategy here that I'm just gonna throw it off of my fucking cuff or whatever, right? But like, so okay, remain friends with everybody, that's one thing, but like, why we can't help anybody? We can't help anybody. Right? I'm going to hit you with a really selfish American thing to say, but I'm going to tell you, we can't help anybody, because if you help your buddy who's out on the block in a gang dispute with another gang, it's the Crips versus the Bloods down in, you know, South Central on the motherfucking block, right? That's what all these world wars are. They're so stupid. And so then, so East Side and West Side go banging, and they're in it, and I'm South Side, and I don't want to get involved in either, and I'm not either. I'm South Side, or I'm West Side, or whatever. I'm sorry, I'm North Side, or I'm South Side, something like that, right? And so East West Side are beefing. West Side says, or no, sorry, yeah, or whatever. Yeah, West Side says, you've always been my homie, and I understand that you can't stand on the block with us and shoot up these Bloods or whatever, because that makes you a Crip, right? And they're like, we understand that you can't do that. You're the South Side. You can't run anti-Crip stuff, or you can't run anti-Blood stuff or whatever. That makes you a Crip, right? I think this is something the whole world can kind of understand, right? What they can't understand is, well, okay, then slap down your credit card, homie. Slap me a 50, pimp, and I'll go buy guns and I'll deal with the problem myself, right? This is how we get into world wars. If you fund the enemy of your friend, or sorry, if you fund your friend so he can fight his enemy, your friend's enemy becomes your enemy. Does that make sense? And this is why we cannot send foreign fucking aid to hoes overseas. We got problems at home. You know what I'm saying? Stop paying hoes overseas. I know you got a Captain Save a Planet problem. You got a Captain Save a Planet fucking problem. I know you do. You got a fucking American quixotic complex about Captain Save a Planet or whatever. But motherfucker, I don't want you involved in these fucking foreign disputes any longer. I will not truck with your fucking idiocy as you drive us out to the Titanic fucking epic Titanic proportions of disaster that it is, of you steering America into the Bermuda Triangle with no leadership anymore. I cannot do it anymore. And I want to stand by while you back the fucking enemy. You back our friends, which I get, but you do it by giving them arms to fight people who become our enemies. And so you get engaged in Cold Wars, but that's the problem. Cold Wars last so long that they yearn for hot ones, you know? And so I'm sorry, that's the problem. I know it sounds like a simplified, because I kind of did. I think the longer there is Cold War, the more likely you are to see a giant global conflict. So, I mean, like, and I see Cold Wars with stuff like Russia, Ukraine, Israel, you know, Palestine, China, etc. And I just don't understand your foreign fucking policy. I don't. I think I would like to take over the State Department. You don't know shit about history or politics. Have you ever read a book? I don't think you have. Or you wouldn't have steered us out into that Bermuda Triangle that is our current fucking situation in the world politics. I'm sorry, but any American with a brain never would have backed any of them. A smart American doesn't back any other country. They're not America. I know it sounds selfish, but I mean, they would say the same thing. China's not going to back anybody but China. Russia's not going to back anybody but Russia. India's not going to back anybody but India. Pakistan's not going to back anybody but Pakistan. North Korea is not going to back anybody but North Korea. South Korea is not going to back anybody but South Korea. We're friends with everybody, but nobody's going to back each other unless somebody fires a nuke. Trust me. So we're so I don't really understand why you run it through our media like some kind of fucking blitz and you infect our brain with JFK fucking Jr. brain worms or whatever the fuck, where we think about wars overseas all the fucking time when Tony down the block has a goddamn fentanyl addiction. Lily is selling blowjobs at the motel. Georgie is not getting a high school or a college education. So it's not getting college or a high school education. And 1 in 5 of the Lord of Flies, 1 in 5 Americans are illiterate. And you want to go talking about wars overseas with Israel and Palestine? 1 in 5 Americans are illiterate. You care about these fucking piece of shit religious wars that you essentially caused in the first fucking place, might I remind you. You know what I'm saying? I would say America's definitely complicit in the fucking Israel-Palestine mess. I would say America's definitely fucking complicit, and I never would have condoned it. I'm tired of idiots running our fucking government into the ground. I'm tired of it.
Not have been in.
But let me ask this.
I never cared about the politics this much. I always fucking hated them. I just hated them. I was just like, oh, it's pretty easy for me, politics. Or like my friends were jealous of me. They're like, you just hate them all, don't you? Yeah, I fucking straight up hate them all. They don't have our interests at heart. They'd rather send money overseas than save our own people here. They don't care. They don't care about us. They don't care if we died, if we're hurt by the cold or we died of fentanyl addictions. They don't care. They'll sell us the opioid scripts. They don't care. As we're going to hell, to try and survive in the fucking financial mess that they turned this inflated fucking hellhole into. And people are selling blowjobs in motels and shit like this and all this. And like Backpage was popular for 20 years and all this. Like, trust me, like in this gig work economy, the way that you ran the world into the ground is such a bit of a fraud that there's nothing you could ever say about me or my criminal records or any of the things that I've done. You know what I'm saying? To me, you guys have acted so horribly and so stupidly and so conflictedly against our interest with your behind the back scenes lobbies, your wheel and deal bullshit, your Americanized church and gun state, and your fucking weird fucking brainwash fucking patriotism that has to do with like bipartisan brainwash a lot more than it does with surviving the next 100 years as America, So let's say we back Israel for, 15 years in their quagmire, right? Let's say Palestine promotes a Hitler and their Hitler takes over the world. And Palestine suddenly Alexander the Great, right? I know it's not very plausible in your mind that anybody who isn't rich and white might take over the world, but it's plausible in my mind, right? I know it isn't in your weird westernized fucking, I swear to God, racist mind. But I mean, to me, it's really not that crazy of a concept that a Chinese man might run the entire world. Or a Russian man might run the entire world. I know it's crazy fucking, it just hits you in that xenophobic fucking bone in that weird American heart of yours. The idea of some other country running the world, right? Those concepts don't scare me. They don't bother me. I think they're plausible, and I think they're likely. I think they're likely in the next 100 to 200 to 500 years, and I think it's bound to happen. And when it does, you picking Israel's side, or you picking Ukraine's side, or you picking Britain's side, or you picking, you know, India's side, or you picking China's side, or whatever side you picked, or whatever, all the fucking time is what they think of when they get up to the top of the world and they're like, oh shit, we took over the world, bitch. And they're like, oh, you know what time it is? It's time for old grievances, right? And they take a look at us and they're like, remember that time you dropped that bomb on us in World War II? I know you really can't seem to conceive of maybe a Japanese man running the entire known world, but I can. And what does he think of when he takes that crown? Does he think, when he thinks about America, does he think about, hopefully he thinks about Pamela Anderson, Baywatch, Billie Eilish, Taylor Swift, and the Godfather movies, right? Hopefully is what he thinks of, right? And he thinks of apple pie, and he thinks of that song. We hope that the Japanese emperor thinks this, right? But we don't know. We hope that they do, but we don't know what they think. Or they might think about how we dropped an atomic bomb on them in the last World War. Or maybe the Palestine runs a Hitler guy who just happens to be smarter than us, who takes over the world somehow, like Hitler almost did, right? Or Napoleon, or one of them, you know, whatever the fuck you believe in, Pol Pot, or, I mean, whatever. So then Palestine's like, oh, yeah, you remember that time around 2024 when you backed our enemy? And we didn't have any grievances with Palestine, but we probably do now. So, yeah, kind of done with idiots running this country into the fucking ground. I kind of try. I know, you know, like they're talking right now about how Bill Maher and all the fucking boomers think the kids are idiots, and yeah, they can't name who the president is. I think a bunch of them can't, because they just don't care. I don't think they care. I think the world that you built is not conducive to them caring. I think I think it was for you. I think it was conducive for me to care about who the president is, but I don't think it was conducive of anybody under the age of 27 to care about who the president was. I don't think it's conducive to their lives. I don't think it's productive to their lives. And I think that sad state of affairs is because of the Republican government that took over this world and did all these crazy things without my permission, like dropping a bomb on Hiroshima, or backing one of the Zionists, or backing one of the anti-Zionists, or backing anybody really who isn't America. And I know it sounds selfish, but nobody else in this fucking world. I know America loves to believe that everybody's our friend and all this other stuff, but no other country in this world is out for any other country in the world except for themselves. Trust me, the borders are there for a fucking reason. They're kind of like our skin. We love our borders. We talk about it all the time. We love borders. We really want our skin to be good. I think every time America bitches about the border, they're talking about how their skin has gotten blanchy and ugly and shitty looking to the rest of the world, right? Because the border is kind of our skin, right? It like separates us from the rest of existence, essentially, right? And so, yeah, who's inside of the Palestine border? I know this is a hard thing for idiots to understand who have been running our government into the ground. But it's not hard for me to understand for some reason. I don't know. I guess it must be for you. But yeah, when you back somebody who's in a conflict with someone else, you become an enemy of that conflict who they're with, right? It's kind of like on the block. If you back the Bloods by giving them 9s so they can go defend their bad fly girls from the bad Crips that moved in down the block who are selling crack to their fly girls or whatever, you know. I'm sorry, I'm using Simpsons references. I'm sorry. Terrible racist Hank Azaria fucking jokes, and they're not my jokes. They're Simpsons Hank Azaria jokes from Mo the bartender. I'm terribly sorry. But anyways, so God forbid, and this is what I'm so scared of, because I think Americans are so Americanized, they just can't conceive of somebody else in the world being strong enough to take over the world, which is something that I don't want to see in Americans anymore. They seem so shocked when the Chinese weren't dumb. They were like, how are the Chinese not dumb? They're Chinese or whatever. And it's like, no, they're not. I mean, they didn't abandon their education system like we did in the 70s. No. They're not dumb enough to do something like that. But our leadership is, oh, cut the funding to the schools more. Yeah, while you send money to Ukraine or fucking Israel more. Yeah, like, you know. So I just see all these things that you do that I just absolutely fundamentally do not agree with, and I'm like, okay, well, we're just not the same political party. We're not even we're almost really in the same country anymore. We're just not really on the same wavelength. You want to continue to have all these world wars and conflicts with people by backing each other in cold wars. I think of that as starting world wars. I think you think of it as good foreign policy. I think of it as starting fucking world wars. Every time you do a Cold War thing by backing Israel or anything or anybody, Ukraine, and I love Israel and Ukraine, and I love Palestine and Russia. So whatever, I love everybody. I love my fellow man, unlike most white Americans, I'd say. You know what I'm saying? Most of the white Americans I meet are terrified of the rest of the world. I'm afraid of Americans, to quote the great David Bowie and Trent Reznor. I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of their xenophobia. I'm afraid of what it's going to do to the world. I'm afraid of their innocent, childlike 1 in 5 illiteracy rate, and our willingness to kill our education system, and all this other things that just don't really jibe with being a successful country. So I'm like, okay, they're out to kill us now. I don't like the Republicans. I don't like the Democrats. They're out to kill us now. Maybe all those times they tried to put me in jail over drugs was proof, huh? You think? You think all those times they try to put me in jail over drugs might be proof that they're trying to kill me? I don't know, but maybe. Burp dirt!
Demonstrating and protesting for a terrorist group.
You know, they could.
God, I feel like hot shit tonight. I feel like the announcer at Ammunition and Grand Theft Auto 4 or whatever it was. Was it San Andreas? I think it was like San Andreas. God, I feel like hot shit tonight. I'm on the mic and I'm fucking ripping truce and tearing the Republican worthless traitor parties apart. You know what I'm saying? God, I feel like hot shit tonight.
For a ceasefire and to end the bloodshed in Gaza, where 36,000 people have been slaughtered by the IDF.
Yeah, we got a gang war that's turned into a genocide, and if you back one of the Bloods or the Crips, sooner or later you're gonna be on the block against them. Whoever you didn't back is whoever you're gonna see on the block later. I know I have to use like cops and robbers metaphors to dumb it down for our greatest diplomats, but I don't think they understand basic high school politics even, or they wouldn't have let us get to this place. So I'm trying to explain it to them in House MD terms, where they're like, you know, where I use the metaphor, like the cops and the firemen come, and they beat on you and step on your neck until you can't breathe. They're not your friends anymore. I'm sorry, that's what happened, wasn't it? I mean, I'm sorry, but how else am I supposed to look at it? I mean, I really like the BLM movement. I think it's a movement based out of decency. You know, seem to be stepping on young men's necks until they breathe who don't look like you. I don't really feel you. I guess you feel you need to do that, or you wouldn't be doing it. But I mean, I guess if you really needed to do that, could you not do it to people of other races, please? I think it's probably appropriate to do that to your own race, maybe. But I don't know about other races. You know, you kind of got called a racist by the entire known world. And now no one in the world trusts American police. And I'm sorry, but that's just another example of your xenophobia just ruining our fucking optics for 500 years or something. It's going to take us 500 years to recover from Trump. The women are going to hate us. The black people already hate us. The Mexicans probably hate us because he kept calling them rapists and murderers. Like, and I wanted to kill him for it. Like, I'm sorry, but if we have any friends left after him, it's gonna take some healing, and we're gonna be in like in a big United Circles of Benetton hug at the fucking at the fucking World Cup together. And we're gonna be like, we're brothers, fight, or not fight, but or not fight, but peace, peace. We're brothers, We're gonna go get this. We're gonna get this World Cup or whatever. America wins the World Cup or whatever. Yeah, right. But anyways, I'm just saying, like, that I really don't like any of the choices you've made in the last 67 years beyond Obamacare and Build Back Better. I would have done away with almost all of it, from the Congress to the Electoral College to the wars overseas, Vietnam, World War II. I mean, we're essentially in World War III now. I'm sorry, but your approval rating has sat with me. I've been independent, voting Green Party or some such since I was 18 years old. My approval, your approval, as the Republican or the Democratic Party or the American government leadership or the executive, legislative, judicial fucking branches and stuff. My respect for these entities has used to be somewhere around between like 3 and 7%. I think most people kind of hold them at about 81, somewhere around there. My trust and respect for them was down at around 3% by the time I was 18 years old. But when Trump walked out of that goddamn room, I witnessed the death of God out of that courthouse. I witnessed the death of America and our decency. How does a man with 34 fucking felonies step? It's not like I'm calling for his blood. I'm talking about I have faced so much more jail for so much less that it creates this terrible, 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 savage hypocrisy that reduces the credibility of our judicial system to absolutely zero. And not for any of the reasons that Fox News stated. None of them. It's for real reasons. Like, a bunch of us have faced real jail time for far less than this man. Many Americans have faced real jail time for a lot less than this man has done. And if you do not give these people closure, even the ones who love him, they will not heal. They will not heal. I'm done dealing with the devil and the Beelzebub. That is the jackass fighting with the elephant. They're the same goddamn devil.
But no, you can't protest what Israel is doing. That, by definition...
When he walked out of the courthouse, I was like, oh no, look at this tribalist criminal stroll on out because he's got money. There goes my respect. There goes the last 3% willingness to support this leadership in any way or fucking form. Your savage fucking hypocrisy backing that fucking criminal as he walks out of that courthouse after 34 fucking convictions was the death of America for me, and I will not look at it as anything else. When people ask me 20 years from now when I thought the last straw was, it was the day that Trump strolled out of that courthouse for a lot more than I've ever done. I faced a lot more jail for a lot less, and that was it. That was the last shred of decency. There's one thing to be hurt by the cold, and all your friends hurt by the cold. Every single person I know has a drug charge, even the innocent ones, even the little sisters. Everybody I know has got a drug charge. Every single person I know. Can't think of another one except for my family. My family thinks that the entire country doesn't have drug charges. I think they're the only people I know that don't. They're the only people I know. They're like the only people I know. There was a few other parents in the circle that definitely didn't have like possession charges, but even some of the parents in the circle did. I one of the circle's parents had a Dewey. You know what I'm saying? So whatever. I'm just saying that, like, watching him skate on 34 fucking felonies was the death of America for me. I'm sorry. And I don't think anybody else in the country thinks the same thing. I think it's special for me. I think that was a special moment for me. It was the last time that I ever listened to anything that any Republican or Democrat says. And I'm in a little bit of a crisis because of it. I'm not making this up. I am depressed and sad because of it, you know? I'm not angry. I'm just depressed and sad because of it. I am going through a bit of trauma and some abandonment issues and some identity issues and some fucking full-blown just resentment, fear, and loathing. I imagine Hunter felt this way after the Nixon election.
According to Bill Maher,
for me, it wasn't the Trump loss or the Trump division or the Trump win. To me, Trump did win when he walked out of that fucking courtroom. How the fuck do you get busted for 34 felonies and walk out of the courtroom afterwards? At what point was it even a court? At what point was it even a court case? And I asked every American that I met that day. I watched it live with thousands of people, and I asked them over and over again in the chat. I said, why is it okay for someone who was just convicted for 34 felonies to leave the court building? Ask yourselves this. I am dead serious. Why is it okay for an American convicted of 34 felonies to go right back out into our community again 1 second later? What other things is he doing? Is it rape? Incest? What else is he guilty of? Child molestation, child sex with underage hookers and stuff at Jeffrey's Island. What else is he guilty of? You know? And I don't really care about all that stuff because we don't have any proof, right? I'm talking about the stuff we can get him for. You got him for that stuff. Why was he allowed to leave the courtroom? I wouldn't have been allowed to. I know why is because I don't have $1 billion like him. I guess when you walk in the courtroom in America, the metal detector scans you, and if it detects that you have $1 billion in your bank account, none of the rules apply. And yeah, that was the death of America for me.
You support Hamas.
Yeah.
I support Hamas. I support all peoples on this planet. There's nobody that I hate. I know that's revolutionary to me. I think it's normal to me. I think that's normal. I think anybody who doesn't think that way is a fucking freak.
By the way.
Pausing here to deliver some honest truth as we do in our news coverage as well.
It's people like you that need to be slew, you know? You think that everybody needs to go to world wars all the time and sell guns and all this shit? Nah, it's people like you that need to be slew, you know? To quote the great oh God, what's her name? I can't think of it. Lily Allen, right? To quote the Lily Allen, right? Yeah, no, it's it's people like you that need to be slew, you know.
TYT is facing challenges, guys, as the entire industry is. You know who could make the difference? You.
You should cry like Alex Jones.
All the difference and keep us in business.
You should cry. Come on, Sank.
On this show, we try hard not
cry
to
like
use
Alex
words
Jones.
Like racist, unless they're really deserved. Because sometimes it gets thrown around so much that
you know you want to cry like Alex Jones. Come on.
It gets thrown around so much for any slight critique of Israel that it's lost all meaning now, right? But Bill Maher deserves it. He's
Does he?
Clearly a racist.
Is he? Is Bill Maher a fucking racist? I do not think Bill Maher is clearly a racist. No.
A protest for Palestinians, he says, oh, they're supporting terrorists.
Well, yeah, he's Zionist, but he's not a racist.
Supporting Hamas. He thinks if you're supporting Palestinians, you must be supporting terrorists. That is literally racist.
Yeah, that's the Sith leadership working in absolutes as usual, trying to tell you that you can't like somebody just because you're interminably, interminably opposed. Your countries are interminably opposed. You can't support Palestine. I don't allow you to. I convict you in the court of public opinion for supporting Palestine. And I say, who made you God? Because you're not God, and I don't give a flying fuck about your judgment, whether I like Palestine or not.
So he's a disgusting human being. So
I don't know. I don't think Bill Maher is a disgusting human being. You're getting kind of yellow here a little bit.
never seen him talk about Muslims without having scorn and derision, like just oozing from every fiber of his being.
Really?
He hates Muslims so much he can't contain himself. So no, the Vietnam War protests were just like this one. He's like, well, that was for a good cause.
He does have very strong opinions. I've always liked that about him. I think it's okay to dislike somebody. Like, honestly, you know, it's weird. I think of Trump as, like, one of the worst racists of all fucking history. But I don't care what he thinks. I just don't... I care how much damage it did to our optics, you know? Our race relations for a long time. Our neighbor. Remember Love Thy Neighbor? Yeah, he's obviously not a godly man, or he would have loved his neighbor and shut the fuck up about Mexico. That's a godless man.
You know, like Vietnam was the wrong war.
But I agreed with that cause.
Yeah, I agree with that cause. I didn't want to kill random Vietnamese people, but Israel just slaughtered 36,000 people, at a bare minimum 25,000 women and children. But I agree with slaughtering them.
Really?
You know, are they even really people? They're all terrorists. So.
By the way, over the weekend, a literal Holocaust survivor.
Okay, oh my God! Why did you put 9 mobs on me?
What Israel is doing in Gaza a genocide.
Yeah, I guarantee you.
Is he a Hamas supporter? Bill Maher, you want to call the Holocaust survivor a Hamas supporter?
Don't encourage him. I'm sure he will. I'm sure he will.
Jesus.
Okay? Bill Maher is disgusting. So he sees peace protesters. He's like, oh, does it really count? It's just Palestinian lives. You know how violent Muslims are. Let's just kill them. Because they're so violent, we have to murder 30 times what Hamas murdered. 30 times Hamas. He's like, but they should be murdered more. You see how I'm the good one. Oh, these
I'm the good
they
one.
don't understand anything. I'm so smart. I know Muslims are useless and they should be murdered by Israel ad nauseum and America. Of course. They're all dirty, violent savages. You see how much I know, and those students who care about peace, they don't know anything. You can F all the way off Bill Maher. You're one of the worst people in American media. And the funny thing is that smug prick thinks he's such a radical.
I think you're
and
jealous.
A revolutionary.
You sound
I'm
jealous.
Say it even though people don't want me to say it. Israel is right. Oh, you idiot. Everyone on TV says that. You're saying the most standard trite propaganda of all time. You serve the establishment like a little puppy dog. And he's always like barking like, I love Biden. Biden taking money from donors is great. By the way, he gave Biden $1 million. He's like, hey, make sure that you serve me and Israel, Biden, okay? So he's one of the corrupt, he's one of the disgusting people in the establishment who's now dares to criticize the most decent people in America, students who aren't Palestinian or Muslim, a lot of whom are Jewish, saying, please stop killing the Palestinians. They're the best people in America. Bill Maher's among the worst people in America.
So there were other parts of the interview worth getting into. For instance, Maher responded to accusations that he himself has changed, making him not so friendly to the left or the Democratic Party. Let's hear what he had to say about that.
People who say to me, and there are many who say, I love Bill Maher, but he has matured too much. He's become cranky. He's become crotchety. He's become one of those old guys who says, the kids are crazy, it was better in my day. What do you say to them?
They're wrong. I mean, they're wrong, and the kids are crazy.
No, the kids are
It's interesting.
wrong.
They have this idea, the younger generation, maybe every generation does, that just because something is new makes it better. And that's not true. New is not synonymous with better.
But you're sounding like an old-fashioned conservative.
Okay.
Look, in this small portion of the interview, he makes half a point that I kind of agree with, right? I do think to some extent on some cultural issues, the left has gone too far, and I've talked about those issues on the show. But Bill Maher is a jerk, and he's been a jerk for a long, long time, and he seems to get a lot of pleasure by crapping all over young people on the left who dream of a better future for this country, not just for themselves, but for everyone, right? And so I'm curious what you thought about that portion of the interview, because again, I'm sympathetic to the notion that on some issues, you know, the party that resonates with you the most could go a little too far on certain policies.
Yeah. So I agree with you completely. He's half right. Why is he half right? I'll tell you both sides. So can any movement go too far? Well, of course you can go too far, right? And we've talked about several examples on the show. And we're an open-minded show that's always been against cancel culture. We're always for an open-minded conversation, including criticizing our own side. We criticize the Democratic Party 200 times more than Bill Maher does. Bill Maher is a Democratic puppy dog.
Cool.
He only criticizes progressives or people on the left or Bernie Sanders, etc. But he'll kiss Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden's ass till the cows come home. He'll lie for them. He'll do propaganda for them, etc. But
that's who pays his bills.
Entirely wrong that some portions of the left, in my opinion, have gone too far. Like, you know, an easy example, an extreme example is prison abolition, right? No, this is 1% of the population, not even, is in favor of prison abolition. Just because some person on the left said it doesn't mean that it represents all of the left.
No.
That is the correct.
I am.
Hold on.
Prison abolition. Please get them gone.
You know,
Open up cell now to send them to Africa.
Are you? Because you advocated for arresting anyone who speaks out against Israel. You actually love cancel culture. You even want people arrested if they disagree with you. So now you just don't like cancel culture when it's issues you don't agree with, and if it hurts your bottom line because you were getting paid a lot of money to go appear at college campuses and now you're not. Oh, I'm sorry. Is that going to hurt your multi-million-dollar fortune?
Right.
So he doesn't care about cancel culture as long as you're canceling the people he disagrees with.
Right. And look, while there is a small group of people who advocate for idiotic things like prison abolition, and yes, I called it idiotic because that's exactly what it is.
It is.
That hasn't actually.
But I want it.
Right?
I've been hurt by the cold so long that I want the cold to go away for a while. I'd be okay if it came back.
Reform was implemented in states like New York, which takes away all discretion from the judges, has been disastrous and has allowed for repeat violent offenders to get let out after being booked again and again and again, and they keep committing violent crimes again and again and again. When you see a story in the news about people who were found to have, you know, dismembered body parts in their home, which they tried to dispose of by, you know, flushing it down the toilet and all of that. It was so bad that it clogged up the plumbing. And then you find out that these people were not held or detained until trial. Yeah, that's infuriating. So I understand what he means when it comes to those types of policies. But
can I just say something super obvious? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Every movement has a radical portion to it because it's a spectrum. So obviously some people are going to be on a part of the spectrum that not everybody agrees with. In fact, obviously some people will be in the radical part of the spectrum the great majority of that spectrum doesn't agree with. Wow, that's a big revelation.
Exactly.
By the way, it's a big revelation for the Bill Mahers of the world, but it's also a big revelation for the people who are on the radical end of the spectrum. They're like, what do you mean? Everyone has to agree with me, even if I'm on the 1% most radical part of the left.
Yeah, disagree with that.
No, by definition, we don't all have to agree with you. Only 1% agree with you.
Now, he did also defend his decision to criticize what he considers to be the extremes on both sides of the aisle. Let's hear what he has to say on that, and if he has a point.
It's not like the left hasn't changed also. So I'm going to call it out wherever I see it. I mean, there are things that have to do with, you know, gender and race and free speech and just ideas about, you know, you can be healthy at any weight, and gender is always a social construct, and maybe we should give communism another try, and maybe we should get rid of capitalism and the border patrol, and let's tear down statues of Lincoln and get rid of the police. Just, you know, no, it's not that I've gotten old, it's that your ideas are stupid.
So, Cenk, it's not that he's gotten old, the ideas are stupid. He does list some of the issues that he has a problem with on the left. He talks about, you know, gender ideology. He talks about healthy at any weight. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, so look, guys, just because you don't agree with someone on one issue and you think he's a terrible person, doesn't mean by definition everything he said, that the ideas that he's in favor of are all wrong by definition. You could be a viciously racist person and still have the right idea on tax policy, because those two things are disconnected. Then they're not always disconnected, but they often are, right? You could have the right idea on free trade versus fair trade and be a terrible person on other issues, right? So when I see Bill Maher criticizing Donald Trump or the right wing, I totally agree with him. Even when he criticizes some portion of the radical left, I agree with him. But that's not because I'm agreeing with Bill Maher. It's because we both happen to have the same position. I could turn it around and go, Bill Maher's agreeing with me, right? So, and don't be so, like, just because Bill Maher is a closed-minded bigot, you should not return the favor. You shouldn't be like, okay, I'm not listening to anything Bill Maher says anymore, and by definition, he's wrong about everything. No, he can accidentally be right about a lot of things. So you could, guys, we're all at TYT, we're for open hearts and open minds. Now, Bill Maher hates TYT. I presume he's never had any of us on. And by the way, I'll say this part. I never talk about anything that happens behind the scenes in this regard. But they have a policy that you have to kiss Bill Maher's ass to get on. That's a fact.
That's so pathetic.
And it's pathetic.
So pathetic.
Oh, I believe in journalism. I mean, unless you're criticizing me, you have to kiss my ass. Otherwise, no one's allowed on unless they bow down to Bill Maher, because his ego is so unbelievably out of control. Okay? And his mind is totally closed to all Palestinians, all Muslims. His mind is closed in every way. So yeah, he sounds like a guy who's saying, hey, kids, get off my lawn. That doesn't mean that he can't be right about some things. So that's why we have open minds and we go, okay, that one makes sense, that one makes sense, the others don't make sense. Oh, and that one is just horrific. And that's what you should do with any person, whether it's Bill Maher or anyone else. Thanks for watching The Young Turks. I really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.
I like the Young Turks. I'm just gonna let it run. Everything they've said has been really good.
Emmy-nominated producer Bill Pruitt used to work on The Apprentice with Donald Trump, of course, and now that his 20-year non-disclosure agreement has expired, he's ready to tell all about the former president and what he was like behind the scenes. Now, he wrote about this in a piece over at Slate titled "The Donald Trump I Saw on The Apprentice. For 20 years, I couldn't say what I watched the former president do on the set of the show that changed everything. Now I can." And so he kind of sets up the story by giving the context, and then he talks about very specific examples of Trump being incredibly misogynistic and sexist on set, while also saying deeply racist things. So we'll get to that in a moment. He says, "I was one of 4 producers involved in the first 2 seasons. During that time, I signed an expansive non-disclosure agreement that promised a fine of $5 million and even jail time if I were to ever divulge what actually happened. It expired this year. No one involved in The Apprentice, from the production company or the network to the cast and crew, was involved in a con with malicious intent. It was a TV show, and it was made for entertainment. I still believe that. But we played fast and loose with the facts, particularly regarding Trump. And if you were one of the 28 million who tuned in, chances are you were conned." And so we've heard some of these allegations before, that Trump wasn't really like as successful as he claimed to be. But let's get into the details about the sexism and racism after Jake makes a very concise point.
That's funny. Pausing here to deliver some honest truth, as we do in our news coverage as well. TRT is facing challenges, guys, as the entire industry is. You know who can make the difference? You. If you hit the join button below, it's going to make all the difference and keep us in business.
I have no issue with Bill Maher. I think he's
guys,
fine.
I also know someone that worked at The Apprentice, and I want to get into not just the racist stuff, but how they built up this con together. NBC and Trump together decided to con the American people into believing that he was a successful businessman. I think that tells you more about the media than it does about Donald Trump. And I don't want you to miss that part of the story, so we'll get to it in a second.
Definitely. So let's start with the alleged sexism on set. Bill Pruitt writes, while leering at a female camera assistant or assessing the physical attributes of a female contestant for whoever is listening, he orders a female camera operator off an elevator on which she is about to film him. She's too heavy, I hear him say. Jeez. So this is very similar to what he would say about Miss America contestants if he believed that they were overweight. And then after he was accused of that, he would double down.
She might have been too heavy to do it, though. He might have actually been right. Wait, no, you gotta kind of wonder though. He might have this sounds to me a little bit like she says that he's making a fat comment about women, but the way the way she quoted him, it sounds like he might have just been stating the truth. Because I think he sounded like he said it like kind of ashamed a little bit. Like, I don't think she's going to fit.
So that's part of the reason why I don't think that these allegations are really going to make a difference at all. Certainly not with the voters and who they're currently supporting in this election. It's because a lot of this stuff is stuff that we already knew about Trump. But let me give you more. Another female camera operator, writes Pruitt, who happens to have blonde hair and blue eyes, draws from Trump comparisons to his own Ivanka Trump. There's a beautiful woman behind that camera, he says, toward a line of 10 different operators
oh my God, you're gonna kill me again, aren't you?
Of Trump Tower one day. That's all I want to look at. And then finally, this part stood out to me the most. Trump corners a female producer and asks her whom he should fire. She demurs, saying something about how one of the contestants blamed another for their team losing. Trump then raises his hand, cupping them to his chest. You mean the one with basically talking about her breasts?
Yeah.
He doesn't know the contestant's name. Trump eventually fires her. I mean, I have to admit, I'm not surprised by any of this. Trump is openly misogynistic. It's just who he is. Yeah. And what's really surprising to me is how in previous election cycles, prior to Trump running in 2016, like the smallest misstep would destroy a campaign. But with Trump, I mean, this kind of stuff keeps coming out. And no one seems to, I mean, the Democrats care, but the Democrats weren't going to vote for him anyway.
Yeah, so first of all, the misogyny is over the top, but he's already been convicted in a civil trial of sexual assault, and it didn't change anybody's vote on the Republican side.
Right.
We all, of course, heard the legendary Hollywood Access tape about grabbing them by the pee. His dismissal of anyone based on looks of, oh, she's fat, I don't like her. It's really disgusting. And he actually picks his cabinet members based on that. And he says it. He says, oh, I picked him because he was out of Central Casting. I didn't like his mustache. Chris Christie's too fat. I mean, this guy's a moron who makes decisions that affect the country and your lives based on this kind of stuff. Now we got the N-word coming up, and then I'll tell you about the media.
Okay, so this is the part that Pruitt claims there is footage of, and he's demanding that the footage be released. So let me give you the incident, and then we'll talk about the existence of that footage. So basically, Pruitt details one discussion about who should win the season as it came down to the two final contestants, okay? One of those final contestants was a gentleman named Bill Rancic. As you can tell, I never watched the show, but there was Bill Rancic, who, by the way, eventually won and earned a job at the Trump Organization. But the other contestant, other finalist, was a black contestant by the name of Kwame Jackson. Now, here's how the conversation went down when they were trying to decide who to eliminate and who would win. Caroline Kepcher, who runs Trump's hospitality units and one of his golf clubs, expresses how she observed Jackson at the casino overcoming more obstacles than Rancic, particularly with the way he managed the troublesome Omarosa. Jackson, Kepcher maintains, handled the calamity with grace. So obviously someone who works for Trump looks at the two final contestants and says, no, Kwame Jackson, which is the black contestant, he did a masterful job with this one incident. I think he should win. Okay. I think Kwame would be a great addition to the organization, she says to Trump, who winces while his head bobs around in reaction to what he is hearing and clearly resisting. Why didn't he just fire her when he fired Omarosa, Trump asks. It's a reasonable question, Pruitt says, but then here's where things get bad. That's not his job. Jay Beanstalk, the showrunner, says to Trump, that's yours. Trump's head continues to bob. I don't think he knew he had the ability to do that, Kepster says. And then at that point, Trump weighs in and says, yeah, but I mean, would America buy a N-word winning? So this is the moment or the exchange that Pruitt says there's a video of, and he's demanding that the video be released by Mark Burnett. So Burnett allegedly told Trump that no, the footage doesn't exist, but who knows what's true.
Yeah, Trump tweeted about it. I talked to Burnett and he says in caps, no tapes. That's kind of an admission. That's saying, I double checked to make sure that they didn't have me saying it on tape.
I know.
Because I definitely said it.
I know.
And Mark confirmed that there's no tapes. Whew, you idiot, you're admitting it.
It's
okay.
Just so, does not think before he tweets. Okay.
And he doesn't think, period.
Yeah.
Before, during, or after. So now look, guys, to the point I was making about the media. So this producer says, look, this is in essence what we do in all reality shows. Not that they're all fake, but what we do is we just do sleight of hand. And he uses a magician as an example. Our job is to trick you into looking at it from a different perspective that isn't exactly true. So for example, with Donald Trump, we knew that he had an endless string of bankruptcies. He was a terrible businessman, but we didn't have any other choices because they had apparently already asked actual successful businessmen, and he names a couple in media, Spielberg, Katzenberg, Geffen, etc., and they wouldn't do it. The only one who would do it was Donald Trump. Of course, he loves the cameras. Mm-hmm. And he's like, we're gonna pretend that I'm a successful businessman? He's like, I love it, I'm in, right? And he got an enormous amount of money from NBC for doing this. So he steps in. And they're like, so what we would do is we would just show you different angles. So we wouldn't talk about his bankruptcies. We talk about how great he was for recovering from his bankruptcies.
It was many years, and by the way, Pruitt seems to acknowledge this in his piece, but it was many years of positive, manufactured, and inaccurate PR on behalf of Donald Trump, which certainly helped him win the 2016 election.
100%.
Yeah.
And he said, look, and then the bankruptcies, okay, well, he recovered from them. How? Well, then Pruitt gets into, well, we knew all the people he was ripping off, but we covered that up too. So we knew he was ripping off people by the time that Apprentice got to the second season or so with Trump University. Later, Trump had to pay a $25 million fine because he was just robbing people. He would pretend to teach them about real estate and take up to $35,000 from them and then give them almost nothing in return.
So disgusting.
Okay, he's a legendary con man. That's what he's mainly known for. Now what con stands for is going to be really relevant here. But he said in one particular case, they went to the Trump National Golf Club, and that Bill Pruitt, the producer, happened to run into the guy who actually designed the course, the architect. And he said, oh, look, I gotta be honest with you. This is a beautiful course, nice job. He's like, I know, but I only got paid half. And he's like, why? He's like, well, this is what Trump does every time. He says, I'll pay you half up front and I'll pay you half when it's finished, which is, by the way, a normal business deal, right? But the unnormal part is he never pays the second half. So he's like, by the time I finish the thing, and I'm supposed to give him a half, he then gives me a speech about, you know, you're gonna have to sue me, your lawyers are gonna cost more than the second half of the payment, so why don't you take a lot less? Give me a new number, which is almost nothing. And then the guy's like, damn it, I'm screwed. So he gives him a new number, and Trump doesn't pay that. So he just never paid the second half. That's what he does every time. I've told you many stories about this from other business contacts. He'll get booked at a convention. He'll charge like $1 million to show up. Fine, he's a celebrity. He charges that much, no problem, right? And then they'll design the entire conference around him. And then like 2 days before the conference, he'll say, now it's $5 million.
Oh my God.
And they're like, well, we can't afford that. You said it was $1 million. We have a contract. He's like, I don't care. You're gonna ruin your whole conference unless you pay me this deal. Now, some of you that are right-wingers out there, you'll think, oh, I love that. What a great business guy. He loves to rip people off and rob them blind. I love that guy. That's savvy. That's smart.
I mean, I don't think he's a good businessman, and I will admit that all of this is super immoral. But, I mean, if you want to be immoral and basically get more money out of an event, that is the way to do it. After they've marketed it, after they've like built a whole event around you, what are they going to do? They're going to say no to giving you more money?
Well, I hear you, Anna.
I wouldn't do it, but I'm just saying, like...
No. Strategically, in the short term, I get it. You're going to get more money. In that particular conference, he did get more money. I don't remember exactly how much, but he got way more money. But it's a short-term play. In the long run, you burn every contact. He had 6 massive bankruptcies. He burned every finance. It's not like the banks are soft-hearted or anything like that. It's so they're like, no, we're not going to give you money, you idiot. You stole the money we gave you every single time, right? You never pay anyone back. That's why he had to go to the Russians. That's why I thought he was connected to them, because his idiot sons were like, oh, no, it's okay, we got money. We got all the money we need for the golf course from the Russians. That's public. They admitted it, right?
Yep.
So then he asked, but why are the Russians giving him money? Because they got to move a lot of money out of Russia, clean it up, and then get it back to them in a legal form. So if you buy his condos, you buy his houses in Florida, you invest in his golf courses, voila, clean money. And then the Saudis bought a lot from him. And he remembered he had the quote. He's like, what am I supposed to do? Not like the Saudis? They paid me $40 million for the apartments. They're way overpaying in order to clean the money. And so he's a lifelong criminal. But what's interesting about it is NBC made an active decision. Yeah, we're going to support that con, man. We're going to join his con. You know what con stands for? It's short for confidence. It's a confidence game. So, and the main producer involved here, the Pruitt references throughout the piece, Beanstalk, says to everybody involved, why want confidence? And Trump is good at one thing, projecting confidence.
It's true, yeah.
And so he'll come in and he'll look down at you and he'll pretend that he's the guy who knows everything. And he's like, it's TV. He doesn't actually have to know anything. He just has to look like he knows things. He doesn't have to be a good businessman. He just has to look like he's a good businessman. And he says the N-word in private and we have it on tape. Who cares? We're making money. He's a loser who's never made any money in the long run. Who cares? We're making money from this. And so guys, last things. Now, the reason why, again, it's a bad long-term strategy is not only do you burn all the people that you ever do business with, but when he goes to run a business, he can't run it if his life depended on it. He had 3 casinos in Atlantic City. Everybody that knows anything about business, like they're gonna cannibalize each other's customers, and they're all gonna go bankrupt. He's like, no. And apparently, according to one of his executives, he did it because he liked to see his name in lights, and that way he could see in Atlantic City, Trump, Trump, Trump. They cannibalized each other's customers. They all went bankrupt. He's one of the dumbest people who's ever been involved in business. So then you say, how is he rich? His dad gave him $413 million. He lost it all. And through The Apprentice, he made $400 million. Doing the one thing he's good at, conning Americans into believing that he's something that he isn't. And NBC helped him all along the way. And that's how the media tricks you. And it's not just exclusive to Donald Trump. The media has also tricked almost all Americans for my entire life into believing that politicians are having debates about policy and issues, when in reality, all the reporters know that they're taking millions of dollars from donors and lobbyists and then doing exactly what those donors and lobbyists want. But they're running this amazing con on all of you guys. Oh, Lindsey Graham thinks this, and the senator from Connecticut thinks that. They think, where's the check, just like Donald Trump. Thanks for watching The Young Turks. I really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.
And I want to believe that Americans believe in justice, and I think that in their gut, they realize that there is something that is very wrong here. We have gone over a cliff in America. This verdict is a verdict of someone who was forced to fight a 1,000-pound
Thank you, Young Turks, for the excellent content from my stream. I'd like to sub to your channel.
Behind his back. We have convicted a former president of the United States of America. We've gone over a cliff.
Former President Donald Trump's supporters are not having a great day. They're having a rough go at things following the verdict out of Manhattan finding him guilty of all 34 felony counts, accusing him of falsifying business records to cover up another crime. And of course, in this case, the crime was hush money payments paid to the likes of Stormy Daniels in the lead up to the 2016 presidential election, something that his former fixer, Michael Cohen, actually served time in prison for. Now, with that in mind, why don't we go to some of the individuals who immediately reacted, including Charlie Kirk, who on X wrote, "Breaking, a Manhattan jury has found Trump guilty on all counts. We knew from the start this was the most likely outcome. This case was engineered for years from the very top of the Democratic apparatus to bring down Trump using a rigged law and a rigged courtroom with a rigged jury." There's absolutely no indication that the jury is rigged. We don't even know who the jury consists of. Now, let me continue. Trump will appeal, and this will eventually be overturned. It is true that the Trump legal team is planning to appeal this, by the way. But this is a scar on our nation. For today, at least, this country looks more like Venezuela or China or Russia than the United States of America. Now we must be ready to maintain our resolve. There will be an unprecedented push to say that Trump cannot be allowed to win, that we cannot elect a convicted felon. Don't give in. They did this because they are desperate. They will lose and they will pay. Now, the polling, by the way, in regard to how voters would change should Donald Trump be convicted of felonies, doesn't really bear out Charlie Kirk's argument, at least not to the extent that he's making it seem like. So we're going to get to that polling in just a minute. Marjorie Taylor Greene just posted an upside down flag. Lauren Boebert says that it was election interference. I have more reactions, including from Vivek Ramaswamy and Tucker Carlson, who, by the way, in text messages to producers over at Fox News, said that he couldn't stand Donald Trump, but publicly, of course, pretends like he's a supporter of his. We'll get to all of that in a moment.
Pausing here to deliver some honest truth, as we do in our news coverage as well. TRT is facing challenges, guys, as the entire industry is. You know who could make the difference? You. If you hit the join button below, it's going to make all the difference and keep us in business. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, so Marjorie Taylor Greene with an upside down American flag. I'm here understand that's un-American. She sounds like she's against America. Maybe she should be deported. That's the way that the right wing used to talk about the left wing if they did an upside down flag for peace or something along those lines. But now they're flipping the flag nonstop because if America isn't led by a right wing fascist, well then boo America. You and your justice and democracy, boo, is what Marjorie Taylor Greene and these Republicans are saying. Let me go to our super chat and our YouTube members here now. Maple Dragon wrote in on super chat, lock him up. Ha, love you guys, keep doing what you're doing. A lot of people chimed in the same way. Gabriel saying, lock him up, lock him up. And YouTube member Chase Essex said, to Anna's point about the polling, well, and elections, they said Trump finally won a popular vote. Congrats, Trump.
A unanimous vote.
Yeah. So Chase, the YouTube member here on Young Turks, excellent point. It's the first one he's ever won, so congratulations to Donald Trump. Look, guys, as we give you the polling here that shows you if this is going to affect the election or not, you have to keep in mind, of course, there's going to be polling afterwards because people have visceral reactions sometimes, and they'll have a different reaction today, and then you should do the poll again in a week or 2 weeks and see if that reaction has faded.
That's a good point, yeah.
Right? Because when it's theoretical, you get one result, you get a different result when it's real. And remember, we're not looking to flip MAGA. MAGA's dug in as much as they possibly can be, right? We're looking to see if this is going to affect some Republicans around the edges, like the Nikki Haley kind of supporters, not that she's a good person, but they voted for her as the more quote unquote moderate option. And is it going to affect, most importantly, enough independents where they go, no, I can't vote for a felon. It feels a little old school to me, but I hope that they think that way because look, as you know, if you watch this show, we are not fans of Joe Biden, but Donald Trump is a unique kind of monster. He did already try a fake elector plot to undermine our democracy. And so I could be against both of them, but I'm definitely against Trump. And there's no doubt about that. So I hope this hurts his electoral chances, but the jury's still out. So let's give you the numbers.
So this is based on Nathaniel Raykick over at 538, he did an aggregate of all of the polls that asked this particular question. And he says that there has been some polling showing that Trump would in fact lose, some support should he get convicted of felonies, which today he was convicted of felonies. An April survey, for instance, from CNN SSRS found that while 76% of Trump supporters said that they would support Trump regardless, which, by the way, is kind of surprising. 76% is not 100%, but 24% said that they might consider or reconsider their support for him if he was convicted. A May poll from Emerson College found that 25% of voters overall say that a guilty verdict in New York would make them less likely to vote for Trump. And a few pollsters have also asked in their polls two versions of the question, right? Obviously, the first one is the straightforward one, and one that asked respondents who they would vote for if Trump was convicted in the New York case. On average, Trump went from leading by 1 percentage point in these polls without considering the conviction to trailing by 6 points with the conviction.
That is a giant difference.
But
we're going to have to see if that really holds.
Yeah, exactly.
But right now, I think the first reaction is probably going to be, for the right wing, certainly rage, for the left wing, joy, and for the independents, probably surprise. Because remember, what you hear isn't what everyone hears. Everyone hears different media, different perspectives. And what a lot of independents hear is nonstop Trump. Biden hides in a cave. He does very ineffective press events, if he does press events at all. He barely has any surgeries. They realize at the end of the trial, oh right, we should send Robert De Niro, a rando actor, because their surrogates get no. So what they've been hearing is wall-to-wall Trump's defense and Trump's side. And mind you, of course, mainstream media, which is against Trump.
Yeah, mainstream media has definitely sided against Trump.
There's no question about that, right? So now when those independents, depending on which shows they watch, which media they consume, I don't know what they were thinking and what facts they knew before about this trial and about Trump's, relative guilt. Now they know he has been convicted, and usually the American people take these convictions and acquittals pretty seriously. So when someone is acquitted outside of O.J. Simpson, people go, hey, listen, maybe Kyle Rittenhouse killed a couple of people, but he was acquitted. He was acquitted, and that affects a lot of people. It might not affect you, but it affects a lot of people in the middle. Now, so this conviction might surprise you in how much it affects people that are independents, but we don't know yet.
Now, Vivek Ramaswamy weighed in, posting on X that the prosecutor in the hush money case, meaning Alvin Bragg, is a politician who promised to nail Trump. Just want to note that all district attorneys are politicians. They're all elected. But let me continue. The judge's daughter is a Democrat operative who literally raised money from the trial while her father presided over it. What the daughter does shouldn't have anything to do with your judgment in regard to the judge, but it doesn't matter since his daughter is in fact a Democrat and has raised money for Democrats. They've really latched onto this argument to make it appear as though the judge is unfair and biased against Trump. The jury instructions said they didn't have to agree on the crime to convict. This will backfire. Look, I think the most accurate thing in Vivek Ramaswamy's, or potentially accurate, let me just be clear because I don't know for sure, is the very last part about it backfiring. I am worried about that. I'm worried about what the verdict is going to do to the country, even though I agree that the verdict was the correct verdict. So we'll see how this all transpires, but I do think that there might be some truth to Vivek Ramaswamy arguing that this might backfire. I suspect that we mean different things by that statement. And then finally, Tucker Carlson, of course, took it to a very dark place, writing, import the third world, become the third world. So he made this an immigration issue, I guess.
Yeah. And what he's saying is, New Yorkers aren't really us. They're not real Americans because there's so many immigrants in New York. So it's not a jury of his white peers. It's a jury of black, brown, and white people mixed. Ew.
So you now not only do they have this insane conspiracy theory about the Great Replacement theory that we're bringing in the immigrants to replace white electors. Now they apparently have a new theory from Tucker Carlson that the immigrants were brought in to try Donald Trump. So get this, even though they have no pathway to citizenship, they're brought in, immediately made citizens somehow, miraculously, put on the jury for Donald Trump. Do you know what level of lunatic you have to be to believe
I
that?
do, and they're like that. They believe dumb shit like this. I don't trust them anymore. They're off on some crazy shit. You know, when I was a drug dealer, my idea of like I worked so hard all the time. I drove 16-hour days. I would sit in meetings, and I would and I would wait with people, and I would I would wait with my hook, or I would wait with my dealer, or I would sit down there. I'd get high with my supplier. I mean, it was just like that, But my idea of time off was I would post up in a motel room, or someone's house or whatever, some girl's house or something like that, and I would just watch CNN and just get really high, and I would just make fun of all the figureheads tearing the world apart, because I wouldn't even know what would be going on. 3 or 4 months would pass, and I'd be like, oh my God, I've got to figure out what's going on in the world. And I would turn on the television, and I would just start making fun of them. I'd get super high. I would just start making fun of them, like, oh my God, that's what you're on now? And it's always worse. Every time I come back, it's worse. Every time. It's so stupid.
Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, kind of absolute raging lunatics.
Yeah. Well, it gets worse from there, if you can believe it, because he's instilling paranoia and fear and anger in people's minds as this verdict has been read and people are disagreeing with it because they support Trump. He continues to write, "This won't stop Trump. He'll win the election if he's not killed first."
Yeah, I'm starting to hear
if
that
he's
a
not
lot
killed
now.
first.
These idiots think that Donald Trump is in some sort of danger, that because they put in a warrant that the FBI can use their weapons if they want to when they did the Mar-a-Lago raid. That is literally the language in every single warrant, including the one used to raid Biden's house. So were they going planning?
It's because they themselves want him to die. They just don't know how to formulate that. They themselves are so embarrassed by him now that I think him dying in some weird assassination attempt would be a better outcome for them. So they start hinting at it because they're not dumb. They know that if they put it out there, it might happen. It's insane. That's the world that we live in now.
Assassinate Biden? But look, guys, MAGA has two components. One is the guys who are super frustrated with the establishment, and they're sick of the corruption, and they're populist, and they've been misdirected into believing that this con man is somehow their savior. But their original instinct that there's something wrong with the system is correct. But there is also a portion of MAGA that doesn't want to listen to anything. And that thinks, I liked America back when we were in charge. And I don't care how we get there. I don't care if we have to raid the Capitol. I don't care if we have to do violence. I don't care if Donald Trump's a liar and a criminal I don't care. I don't care. I want the power back. Okay? So Trump's convicted, so good. I want all my guys to be convicted. That means we don't care about the goddamn law. We want America not to be a democracy and to be filled with equality. We want America to look like us. And so if you say, hey, Jed, come on, that seems a little unfair. Tucker Carlson just said it. So who do you think he's trying to appeal to? Tucker Carlson is just an inferior grade of con man. He's trying to get the audience of the half of MAGA or whatever percentage you want to.
If Bernie Sanders had been 50 years old, this world would have been such a better place. It's weird how one man's age can be, because if I had been able to believe in Bernie Sanders, I think we could have changed the world. But I knew right off the bat that this was a man that was do nothing Congress for far too long,
That's not do it. That thinks, yeah, America should be white. And no, this brown jury or whatever they were in New York.
Oh, God. Got to go to the bathroom, guys. I'm going to pause the video here. Okay, back. Sorry, guys.
The topic today is Israel's invasion of Gaza morally justified. We will also be touching on the topic of Iran, anti-Semitism, free speech here in the United States. And just some ground rules I'll lay out to everybody, and also so the audience understands. I'm going to be an aggressive moderator. I will cut people off. However, I just want to make it sure at the top we can agree everything will be civil. No crosstalk if possible. Try not to cut each other off. Definitely no ad hominem attacks. That's going to be a total no-go, and absolutely be cutting that. I'm not going to be enforcing time limits in terms of responses, and I do encourage both interaction, asking questions to each other. If we do ask a question, I'm going to request both that it's actually answered and that it's engaged in a respectful manner, and I will be jumping in there. In general, I have questions that can help guide, but I really would like to leave it up to everybody here. And so I think with that, I'm going to offer some opening statements. I'll give everybody, let's say, a couple of minutes, like 3 minutes or so. And so with that, I think we should go ahead and start. We'll start with you, Dennis. Dennis Prager is the founder of Prager University and the host of the Dennis Prager radio show. On the topic is Israel's invasion of Gaza morally justified? Let's start there, which is the stated topic. Go ahead, sir.
So thank you very much. Thank you all who are watching. By the way, which is my camera? Because I want to talk to the audience.
Go ahead. I think it's
Is that it over there? Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. The dilemma in the Middle East has always been the same from the beginning of Israel's creation in 1948, and that is that its neighbors do not want there to be a Jewish state in their midst. That is the entire problem. One side, as I have put it...
Yep. Yeah, the Palestinians just will not concede.
All of my life, one side wants the other side dead. And in case you were in doubt about it, October 7th should have made that clear. If you really want to have a serious moral clear, if you really want to have a serious moral debate, and one should, and you're not already committed to the anti-Israel side, I have a question. And I think this question more or less clarifies everything. If Israel announced, we are disarming and we will fight no longer, what would happen? If the Palestinians said, we are disarming and we will fight no longer, what would happen? If you are intellectually honest, you know the answer to the question. The day after Israel announced it disarmed, you would have an October 7th of the entire population of Israel. There would be finally an actual genocide, not the false accusation of Israeli genocide in Gaza. If the Palestinians announced that, the next day, or perhaps the next week, there would be peace. This is the only time, as the little excerpt I saw when I spoke at Oxford and debated this issue, this is the only case in modern history where people believe the democracy, the free state, the state with an opposition press, an opposition party, civil rights for all its citizens, including its 2 million Arab citizens, the peace-loving state, the democracy, is the aggressor, and the police state that tortures its opponents, they're the good guys. That is how inverted it is. I have a theory as to why everything is inverted, and I believe it is because it is the one Jewish state in the world. There are 22 Arab states, there are 52 Muslim states, there are 200 states around about that number all over the world. Only one is targeted for extinction. Yep. There is no other state targeted for extinction. Only the one.
Yeah, he will not say directly that they are anti-Semitic, but they are. They're like, the Palestinians are genocidally anti-Semitic, and it's incredibly racist for me to say that, but it's true. And the whole world would agree with me. The Palestinians probably don't like me saying it, but I mean, it's true. They will not abide a Jewish state in their midst, exactly as he said it. That to me is intolerance on a level that normally you actually get this a lot. You'll get brothers and sisters that can't stand each other, or you'll get you'll get a fight between the boys who are in love with the girl in the homeroom, and they beat the shit out of each other after school. You just have to separate. You know that they're not gonna get along until one has the girl impregnated, basically. You know they're not gonna get along. They're going to try and kill each other. This happens all the time. They're just rivalries and struggles. Like, oh God, you slept with him? No, really? You know, that kind of stuff. And it's like, yeah. And like, you know, and so I don't know why we can't acknowledge that as a people. I'm sorry, as the human race, we can acknowledge that there is some intolerance here that will not end, but I don't know where we go forward from there. I don't know how you solve this thing, but you accept that there is an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object here, and you don't know, you can't stop the force of them hating, really. And most people in the world should probably kind of condemn the Palestinians for their hatred. But I mean, I don't know. Everyone's got their biases. I'm not saying it's cool for them to be full of hate. I don't think that's cool. I'm saying, who is it? Who am I to judge? Like, for instance, I don't like executives to conglomerates, you know? I don't like suit dummies, you know? I don't want to deal with them. I do a lot of stuff in my work based around the idea of not dealing with them, not ever signing up for anything, not dealing with lawyers or contracts or people or an attorney or like any kind of, you know, like I don't want the real world seeping into my job. My job is an art form. I mean, and I don't always feel like speaking either, you know? So it's like, it's an art form that only comes when it comes. And as it is, I can't have anybody else choking that with their, you know, with their rules or their laws or their DMCA or any of this other shit. I can't have anybody censoring me or changing me because of their beliefs about something or whatever. You can't really have that. And so, like, I'm not one to tell the Palestinians that they can't hate the Jews, you know? It sucks. It's kind of like saying I don't, like, in the same way that I expect them to respect my right to love everybody, I respect their right to hate somebody. I'm not going to be so foolish as to say that it's good or that it's, you know, it's not a good thing. But I mean, I also wouldn't be so foolish as to say that it's, you know, okay. But it's not my business. I'm not them. If they have their old biases, they have their old biases. I can't do anything about that. So then at that point, I don't see what you can do. You have to separate them probably across from the world from each other. You know what I said to my mother when it first started off back in October 7th, or was it, October 7th, was it? Or was it November? I forget. October 7th, I think it was. I said, why can't we just give them Wyoming? And she was like, oh, you're sweet. I was like, I'm dead serious. We have like 175,000 people in Wyoming, but it's the size of, you know, it's like the size of Texas or something. It's so big. It's this huge state. It takes 12 hours to drive across it or something. It's so fucking big. It's, you know, and I was like, why not just move them here and be their friends and say that, well, you don't have a neighbor who wants to kill you anymore, you know? And she was like, oh, that's sweet. It's naive, but it's sweet. And I was like, yeah, I know. But I kind of still stand by that a little bit. I would rather move them across the world. Like, I don't control them. I don't tell them what to do. I'm not the god of Jewish people or whatever. I'm not the emperor of black people or any of this. I don't tell people what to do, you know? I can only, like, make suggestions of, well, we have, like, essentially one of the 50 states in the Union is fucking empty. And obviously, we as the world, we kind of moved the poor Jews in next to somebody who really hated them. And that's not good. I mean, we all kind of did it. We're all kind of complicit in this, except for the Palestinians. I think they were the only people who really probably were not consulted, and that's not probably very, very fair. And I don't know if there was this old rivalry, then you separate. Generally, you separate the brothers who are warring over the same girl, or you like if you know that they're never going to get along, you put them in a different class, or you don't have them ride the same bus. You have one take a skateboard or something, right? You separate. Now, how can we do that without ruining the world? We can't. So I'm saying, if you want, just come move here and take over one of our states, and we'll call it Wyoming for whatever, Cheyenne or whatever. But why don't you guys just take over some place where I really don't think America would ever attack the Jews. I just, maybe that's naive. I guess maybe I don't know my own people well enough, but I think they would be safer here than there. And so Joe Biden wants to buy them bullets. I want to give them Wyoming. You want to really say that you're their friend. And I know this is naive, and I know that the state would fight me, and I know that the people would fight me, and they'd be like, no, we don't want this. I know my own people would say the same thing. But I'd be like, why? All they would do is live there and enrich everything. They're just neighbors. They're fine. But it's a mess now that's going to lead to some terrible fight. One that I really don't think the world should get into. I think they're both bloodthirsty. I think they're like Bloods and Crips, and their whole thing is about conflict.
To a state the size of New Jersey. And so that is the issue. One side wants the other side dead, and it has been true since 1948.
All right, Dennis, thank you very much. Cenk, why don't we go to you, founder of the Young Turks? Go ahead.
Yeah. So first of all, we should clarify the question, because if we're saying, hey, was Israel right to go in the first place after October 7th? I say yes, but it depends on how, and how long do you stay, how do you conduct affairs, etc. If we're talking about how Israel has conducted this war and whether they should still be in there, that's a hard no. It's not even close. It's been absolutely atrocious what they've done. And not only has it killed over 33,000 Palestinians, with probably a lot more than that inside the rubble, 76,000 wounded, 1.1 million people starving. If you think that that is good for Israel, I think that you ought to have a sanity check. So not only is it devastating for the Palestinians, potentially devastating for the world, as Netanyahu now agitates for a broader war with Iran engulfing the entire Middle East, which will be catastrophic for America and the world. But for Israel itself, if you want a safe haven for Jews, you must stop the occupation. 75 long, brutal years.
Yeah.
So it's one thing to say, hey, theoretically, Hamas would do this, and by the way, I'm then going to say all Palestinians would do that, or all Muslims would do that. That's a dangerous area to go to, right? It's another thing to say, yes, well, while they theoretically don't want our state to exist, we're actually preventing their state from existing. I mean, it's such an ironic argument. Hey, we prevented their state for 75 long years. We prevented them from having freedom for 75 long years. We brutalized them in every possible way. We've humiliated them in every possible way. Number one, we can't believe they're fighting back. Are you serious? We'll talk a lot about this in the debate. But so, would people have been surprised if Jews fought back against the Germans during World War II? Would that have been terrorism? Is that what it would have been?
Yeah, like is
That's
there
outrageous to say that. Of course, Jews should have been.
See, it's weird. When I think of peaceful cultures, I think of like India. I don't think of the Jews. I think of Israeli people being fairly skilled at warfare.
able to fight back against the Germans.
Yeah, like it's weird. The world seems surprised when the Jews want to defend themselves. It seems sort of weird. It's like, what's that based on? Isn't that kind of racist? It's like this weird assumption that they're just gonna be like monk peaceful or something. They're just gonna be like they were in World War II. I think the only reason they were monk peaceful in World War II was they just didn't have any guns in the first place to fight them in the first place. Now they do. You know? Thank God.
Occupied people should be able to fight back.
Not that they have guns or anything like that. And I'm not praising God because they have weapons. I'm saying that they're just not like, they're not Jews in the Lodz ghetto anymore. You know? And nor should they be.
You can go to Armenians fighting back.
That was different. I would have gone peaceful if I was in their situation too. Nobody knew that shit was going to happen. Nobody knew. Nobody knew what Hitler was going to do.
Back against the Ottoman Empire. Okay, so
if you had shown up in downtown Berlin wasn't even around back then. I don't know where you. I guess it would have been like what, Hamburg or something. I don't know. But wherever you show up in Germany, where was the main city in 1926 or whatever? But if you had shown up in Hamburg in 1926 and told the Germans that you're, Marty McFly from Back to the Future, and you're there to tell them that. That how World War II is going to go. I think even the Jews themselves would have been like, there's no way Hitler kills 6 million Jews. There's just no way. Right? In 1926, they would have been like, nope, some blip on the screen that never could happen. Even the Jews themselves would have been like, nope, that can't happen. I think everybody in the world would have been like, and that's how you know. Nobody would have known. Nobody knew what he was going to do. I mean, his own cronies knew, but nobody else knew what he was going to do. And so now that it's happened to them once, wouldn't you strap up? I wouldn't strap up like, oh, I got a gun in a gun locker that I use, that I'm scared of robbers and I'll shoot robbers with. When I think of what the Jews went through in World War II, I think of fighter jets, rocket launchers, Israeli NATO weapons and stuff. I mean, the Israeli fucking 7.62s and, and all this. And just, and weapons and war. Because at that point, they've been treated so fucking badly. And it's weird, I swear to God, the whole world thinks of the Jewish people as a rabbi. But I mean, I don't think they're any different from anybody else. They're a little bit more orthodox. They're a little more refined, I'd say. A little bit less violent. But I'm being almost anti-Semitic in just my statements here and making weird sweeping stereotypes about their race. I'm just saying that I hope I'm saying positive things. But I wouldn't say that pacifism was something that they ever were very known for. I just don't believe they're very known for violence either. So this weird assumption that they're all rabbi peaceful, I don't know what that's based in, but I believe it's anti-Semitism itself. And I wish I could say that in the fucking debate with them a little bit. There's this assumption that Israel is weak or something, or that they can't fight wars, or that they don't like fighting or battles. And I find that foolish, And he's right about this. He's like, why would it be considered terrorism if, they're at war. There is no terrorism here. They're at war with each other.
So those are my original people. I'm Turkish descent. And if you said, well, the Armenians, how dare they? They should have loved the Turks. And they should have said the Turks are the greatest people on earth. And they should have been occupied and accepted their occupation. I can't believe they fought back. And you know what? When the Turks moved them and killed them, they were just defending themselves. They have a right to defend themselves. Guys, if you're in that camp, if
you're in this camp that believes that every Jewish person is peaceful like a rabbi, I'm sorry, but I got some swampland in Florida with you. I mean, I don't, and I'm not saying that they're violence prone either. I'm just saying that weird assumption. Like, I've seen this before. That you see it with monks. People assume that monks are peaceful too. Most monks are peaceful, but not all of them. Not all of them at all. And the assumption is a little bit faulty. You know, it's a little bit of it's full of fallacy and all this. I don't know why. You know, not all Jewish people are like rabbis, and not all. You know, it's sort of, the whole thing smacks of anti-Semitism in the first place, kind of. These weird judgments that we have as the white race, kind of, about how their lives are, or something, or who they are, or that they're super peaceful, or that every Indian man, or whatever, Hindu man is exactly like Mahatma Gandhi? No.
Think you understand how biased.
And not every white man is like Bill Gates. I mean, there's a lot of us. But not every white man is like Bill Gates, you know? But there's so many white corporate fucking pillager raiders out right now. Conquistadors would be the proper word for it. They're like conquistadors, basically. They're there to conquer these corporate entities like Comcast and fucking, you know, and Microsoft and all this and you know, Starbucks and fucking Palantir and all this. Like, they're these entities that have now, you know, that are now really evil, but not all of us are like that. Some of us are kind of a lot more like Ferngully as opposed to like Scrooge McDuck. You want to look at like Disney films? I think some of us wanted to grow up to be Scrooge McDuck, right? And I think back then it was a lot more acceptable to be rich. But the longer that the fucking lower class founders, while these richers kind of run slipshod all over us and stuff. And so I'm very careful all the time to not judge white people like we're all Bill Gates. Because we're not. We're not like that. Not almost none of us are actually like that. It's kind of weird. There is, like, it's the 1% that's like that. The other 99% of us are cool, I think. But the 1% are fucking assholes. You know? And we used to kind of glorify it. We still do with like bougie rap and, you know, fucking 80s plastic fantastic roaring fucking 80s or whatever, jazz music and you know, rich people, fucking lifestyles of the rich and famous and all the vacuous pop music, you know. And I get it. But that's a weird attitude for the 99% who don't have to have. It's really weird for people to aspire to be Drake or Young Money or Lil Wayne or you know, Nicki Minaj, when most likely they'll go to high school, they'll go get a career, they'll get 2.3 kids and a house and a wife and a mortgage, or a husband and a mortgage, and they'll kind of live a middle class life.
You sound.
And it's very odd for everybody to be banging their head to bougie rap like they're all Nicki Minaj caliber, or even if they have that kind of money. They don't. Most of the world doesn't. And so I don't understand why that is so universally, like, you know, glorified more than heroin or drug use or sex or something like that. Is this idolatry of a lot of money? Look at Donald Trump. And it's weird. I've never understood that about, like, so it says, like, you make these assumptions about like rich privileged white people. And I don't want to be judged like that. I did not live a life like them. I don't have the same rap sheet. I don't have the same lovers or the same history or the same drug addictions or anything like that.
and how it does not sound to anyone out.
You know, and it's just it's weird. We have these sweeping assumptions that all white people are kind of like these suit dummies who rob everybody through corporate malfeasance. We have these terrible stereotypes. I don't want to talk about other races because I'll just get in trouble.
Outside of your camp, that you're in
really, I mean, he was talking about it. There's this assumption that the Jewish people are just peaceful and they'll stand by while some atrocity occurs. And I don't know what human fucking race on planet Earth's history has ever just full-blown been pacifist. I don't think that's ever happened. Pacifism has never been. I mean, I think it was Mahatma Gandhi is the only time I can think of where civil disobedience actually worked. You know? It's not common. It's really not common. So this assumption that the Jews shouldn't be able to go kill 30,000 people when they're being attacked by those people is sort of weird. It's like saying, they were victimized in the last war, but they're not being victimized in this war? I mean, they are being victimized in this war, so they're victimizing back. And it's weird. It's like, just because they were the victim in the last war, they were like essentially they were the world's target, that they themselves can't put some tallies on their whacker kind of thing or whatever, like, I don't know what you call it, like put some bodies on themselves, get some bodies at that point, because it's like, I mean, isn't that what anybody else in history would do? And so then they get this double standard.
Rational world. So if you want Israel to be safe, you must end the occupation. It is not optional. So is the goal here to say, as Netanyahu is clearly saying now, he's saying, I do not want a two-state solution. Permanent occupation means permanent war, permanent terrorism, and a disaster for Israel, let alone the Palestinians.
Got it. Batya, why don't you go ahead? Batya Ungar-Sargon, she is opinion editor at Newsweek, and she's the author of Second Class, How the Elites Betrayed America's Working Men and Women, which we have a copy of on the desk right over there. She was so kind to give us one. Go ahead, Batya. You can go ahead.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to be here with this panel.
It's a pleasure.
Are we all in agreement that Israel was just to invade after October 7th? Shank, you agreed with that. Dennis, you obviously agreed with that. I agree with that. Dave, are you in agreement that that was a just...
I would say, like, Cenk, it depends on what you mean by
what
invading.
followed.
Yeah. Sure.
But the initial invasion itself, you could see that from a just point, that that would have been justified based on October 7th, based on had they conducted themselves. There's a way that Israel could have conducted itself that you would have felt comfortable with that as a reaction to October 7th. Is that accurate?
Well, I mean, look, if you're spending your opening asking me a question, it's a fairly complex question, but I would certainly say that Israel was more than justified in pursuing and killing anybody who was involved in October 7th.
Why don't we cut the questions there? Continue with your opening statement. We'll get to
Well,
that.
I think that's very important because then we can narrow the scope of the debate. It doesn't have to be about whether the war is just, but whether Israel's behavior since invading was just, and the way that it has carried it out. And I think the answer to that is very clearly yes. Because first of all, the measures that Israel has taken, obviously we look at the destruction and it is horrifying. We see these children, we see women, we see people being impacted in the most horrific way, and it looks horrible. But the reality is that war is horrible. And the thing that we have to determine is Israel engaged in a war or in war crimes, right? Is Israel engaged in a justified response to a heinous attack, or is it going and doing things that are beyond the pale? And the evidence seems to suggest that Israel is not only behaving in a way that every other army has behaved in a very similar situation, but in a much more careful way, despite the massive destruction. And the evidence for that is in the efforts that they have made, the millions and millions of phone calls they make. You understand that Israel telegraphs to the enemy before every single thing that it does in Gaza. They're literally giving away the plan in order to get civilians out of harm's way. Now, can more be done? More can always be done. But have they gone further than any army in human history? The answer is yes. The number 33,000. Last week, Hamas put out a statement on Telegram in which they said they cannot account for 11,000 of those. So Hamas itself reduced the number to 22,000, which means that if you take the number of Hamas soldiers who have been killed, right? Israel says 13,000. Hamas itself in February admitted to 6,000. We're talking about a ratio of combatants to non-combatants that, again, simply has not been seen in urban warfare. All of these things, I think, come together to suggest that despite the enormous devastation, and I'm with you on that emotionally, we have to analyze this objectively and conclude that if you are saying 33,000 as the number of dead, you are mourning the butchers. And I think that's shameful. I think it's really important that people who are mourning the civilians make sure that they are careful, that they are not mourning exactly what we all have agreed on, which is that the butchers, Israel had every right, not just every right, but a moral right and a moral obligation to kill them.
Got it. Thank you, Batya. Dave, you can go ahead. Comedian and he's host of the Part of the Problem podcast. Go ahead, Dave.
Sure. Well, since we have a short opening here, I think I'll just respond to a couple things that I've heard you guys say so far. So one of the things that I notice almost in every war is that it kind of drives people down to this most base collectivist understanding of what's going on here. You know, this side is bad, this side is good, and no one really sees the nuance that there are individuals involved. So, for example, in the war between Ukraine and Russia, you see people who have the Ukrainian flag in their Twitter bio, and they celebrate when there's a Russian defeat, never really considering the fact that many of these Russian young boys were conscripted into this army and that they're victims too. Yep. And, you know, when Mr. Prager says one side wants peace and the other side wants to kill all of these people, it's a very convenient collectivist way to look at things. But the objective reality of the situation here is that there have been atrocities on both sides committed against the other side. This is true throughout the history of the existence of Israel. This is true before the existence of the state of Israel, with the Zionist settlers, the British, the Arabs. There were atrocities committed on all sides. And to say that everybody, as if, or to imply that everybody on the Israeli side just wants peace, and everybody on the Palestinian side just wants, that is just not true. There are lots of Palestinians who just want peace, and there are lots of Israelis who want their land and are quite willing and will openly, explicitly say they're willing to do whatever it takes to take their land. Now, to your point about how, I mean, you said every single strike they're warned. No, that is just not true. That's objectively not true. They do warn sometimes, but then that also leads to the question of, does that mean that whatever you do is just okay? The reality is that this is not just a war like any other war. And that doesn't mean other wars are justified necessarily, but there's a very big difference in this war compared to almost any other war we could think of. And the major difference that I see is that Israel has dominated the Palestinian people since at least 1967, and we could probably go back before that. Let me just say this. If we look at things in not a collectivist way, and we recognize that there are individuals, and these individuals make up different groups. Let's say we have the group that is Hamas, made up of individuals, but that's Hamas. Within that group, we have the militant Hamas, and we have the political arm of Hamas. They are different. We also have Israel, which is made up of its citizens. We have different political parties within Israel. Okay, let's take this one group for a second. The innocent Palestinians. I hope both of you would concede that such a group does exist. There are some people on the pro-Israel side who will explicitly tell you that that group does not exist. I think if we're being honest with ourselves, there is no group that has been more victimized than the innocent Palestinians. And at a certain point, maybe we ought to think about that group. Nobody has been through it worse than that group, the innocent Palestinians. And at a certain point, I think the question needs to be asked.
Thank you.
Does Israel have a right to do what it's been doing to the innocent Palestinians for many, many decades now?
Thank you guys very much. You all stayed within the time limit, which is actually incredible. And Bache did steal a little bit of my thunder because, and I'm a bit glad that you answered that question, Dave and Cenk both responded in that way about how exactly, what the question and the superimposed upon that is that do we agree that Israel at least either had a right or was justified in taking some action as a result of October 7th. So my question, I think, to both of you, and both of you can feel free to chime in after both of them has responded, is if we look at the original statements for the war and for the invasion, is that the Israeli military was supposed to accomplish a few objectives. Number one, they had to destroy Hamas, the militant terrorist organization. Two, they had to lead to the release of the hostages. And three, they had to make sure that an October 7th could never happen again. So in the conduct of the war so far, do you believe that they have been successful with those objectives? Dennis, why don't you go ahead and go first?
None of us knows yet. Israel is being prevented by much of the world, and it's. I feel that on this entire issue, I'm living in a make-believe world. Every analogy could have been applied to Nazi Germany. There were innocent Germans who were killed by the Allies in the bombing and in invasions and so on. That no one denies that. But to point out that there were innocent Germans while the Nazis were in charge is a morally idiotic point. It means nothing. It only means that every innocent German's life that was taken is the responsibility of the Nazis. Every innocent Palestinian life that has been taken is the responsibility of Hamas or Hezbollah. That's it. The analogy is perfect. There is one difference between Hamas and the Nazis. And I never called any group in my 40 years of radio Nazi. I never called an individual that, other than the Nazis of the 1940s. But there is only one difference between Hamas and the real Nazis of Germany. The Germans hid their atrocities. Hamas boasts and videos them.
Audrey, go ahead.
I think that they have, I would say, destroying Hamas, definitely. They're not going to get every single one, but the idea that Yahya Sinwar will ever breathe open air again seems to me very far-fetched. I think they have driven him underground forever, and they've cut off the head, and the idea that Hamas will be able to regroup at this point seems to me very unlikely. The release of the hostages, no, they failed on that front. I think they tried, maybe they could have tried harder. I think, unfortunately, I hate to say this, but I think a lot of them are dead. It's a lot to say about that, but I think on that they've obviously failed. And as to another October 7th, I think a lot of that has to do with what we're seeing now in terms of the realignment happening in the Middle East, to where you see Saudi Arabia clinging to the idea that they too will be able to join the Abraham Accords at some point. The moderate Sunni and Gulf states rush to Israel's defense, amazingly, to protect them from these Iranian rockets. And to me, that is, I don't think this is a moral question so much as a strategic one. And I'm sure we're going to get into where does the United States fit into all this? Where do we want the United States to fit into all this? But from that point of view, and an Iran-backed October 7th, should it happen again, is going to happen in a very different Middle East, one in which Israel has a lot of support from the Arab nations, and that makes it less likely as well, I believe.
I'm just kind of, I'm blown away by the statement that Mr. Prager just made, that the only difference he can see between the Nazis and Hamas is that the Nazis hid their atrocities. So if that's the only difference you can see, I have a few others that pop to mind. The Nazis were a government. The Nazis had an army. The Nazis had an air force. The Nazis had submarines. The Nazis controlled from France to Poland in all of Europe, whereas Hamas can't even control Gaza effectively. I mean, I find the statement that you can't see any differences between the Nazis killed over.
Difference?
Well, okay, but hold on. But you said that wasn't what you said. What you said is that you can't see a difference. The Nazis, okay, but yes, I see a moral difference. The Nazis killed over 10 million people outside of the war conflict, just in terms of people that they killed, let alone the tens of millions of people who you might hold them responsible for. So yes, I do see a moral difference between the two. I'm not saying October 7th was horrifically immoral, but if you're going to say, do you see a moral difference, that would be like if somebody had murdered two people and you went, I see no difference between that and the Nazis. Okay, yes, they're both immoral, but there's enormous differences between the two. Now, to the other point of the idea of, can Israel eliminate Hamas, even if they were, which I don't think is feasibly possible, that they eliminated everybody who is a member of Hamas. I mean, in order to do this, you would have to look at, you know, if the images of Gaza City aren't enough, you would have to look at images 5 times over of that, and this is going to result in just slaughtering innocent people, not to mention the excess mortality where hundreds of thousands of people are going to die as a result of this in the future. But even then, you would just be dealing with another Hamas-like group. Because if you don't understand what creates this problem to begin with, look, this is the problem. This happens all throughout history, all throughout the world. If you want, there's a reason why the Nazis only rose. First, it was after we imposed Versailles, but then, as you know, it was after the Great Depression, when there was hyperinflation, when things go terrible, that's when the worst, most violent extremist groups rise.
Dennis.
And that's what the future is going to be, unfortunately.
Can I respond just very briefly
Sure,
to that?
and Dennis can go.
Something really staggering has happened in Gaza since October 7th, which is there have been protests against Hamas. For the first time in, well, there were protests actually recently in 2019, but they were...
Oh God, I did not know that. I had no idea that the Palestinians were against Hamas now. I thought they were completely, like, in their throw. Well, I mean, I knew that they didn't like Hamas, but I just didn't think that they had any way of getting out from under the sway. But if there's somebody now, like, protesting Hamas...
Squashed by Hamas in a very aggressive, violent way. But the people of Gaza, the innocent people of Gaza, yes, who you mentioned, are speaking out against Hamas because Hamas is stealing their food and their aid, and they are seeing, I mean, they've known all along the role Hamas plays in their oppression. But the fact that Hamas has lost support in Gaza since October 7th, while gaining support massively in the West Bank, right? I mean, which speaks to how different the Palestinian populations are in the different areas. I just don't buy it that Israel is creating more and more Hamases and Hamases and Hamases. I think that there's evidence that actually the opposite is happening, that the people of Gaza are seeing we have to get out of this cycle.
Go ahead, Dennis.
I hate to put it this way, so, but I mean it sincerely, so I will. You are on record now, because the internet has a permanent memory.
I'm aware.
Of saying that there's no comparison morally between Hamas and the Nazis.
No, you changed.
Yes, he's on the record.
You changed what I said a little bit, but sure.
No. Yeah. Wait. So
no, I didn't say that.
Wait. All right, you don't. So you think morally they are similar? Yes or no?
You said I can't see anything different about them except that the Nazis.
Everyone knows I was talking morally. Of course, Hamas does not control the same number of countries.
Mr. Prager, what's beautiful about the internet is what you just said. It is on record, so people can see what I said, and then they can see what you said.
That's right. There is no moral difference between the Nazis and Hamas. Both want to exterminate Jews. That is what we're talking about, not whether or not the Hamas has taken over Czechoslovakia. That's an irrelevant point to what I made. There is no moral distinction. Hamas would like to butcher every Jew in Israel, maybe in the world, I don't know.
What's
but
wrong
certainly in
with
Israel.
them?
It's in their charter, and that's what they announced. They're proud of October 7th. They are proud of rape. They are proud of burning Jewish families. And the Nazis were proud, but the Nazis hid it. And Hamas boasts about it. That's the one difference.
Jake, go ahead.
Again, that's the one difference. See, you make the point again. That's not the one difference. There's other differences also. Go ahead. Go ahead.
This is Alice in Wonderland. If anybody watched this debate and they didn't know what was happening in the world, they would think, oh my God, I guess Hamas is this giant power and it's been abusing Israel this entire time. Poor little tiny Israel. And Hamas is this gigantic power crushing Israel. What are you guys talking about? Hamas has got pea shooters. They did terrible damage on October 7th. Now Israel's done 30 times worse to the civilians. They've massacred civilians after civilians after civilians. Israel is Goliath. It is not David. It is the Germans in terms of military power. It is not the Jews. The Palestinians are the equivalent of the Jews during the Holocaust. They have been put into ghettos, and they have said, you have no freedom. You will serve us and serve us only. And right now they're saying we're going to have permanent occupation. And wait, so were the Jews not supposed to fight back against the Germans? Do the Palestinians, hold on, do the Palestinians not have a right to defend themselves? Does it only go one way, where Israel can crush? And how dare you lowly Palestinians fight back? How dare you? Now we'll kill 30 times more of you and we'll occupy you forever and ever and ever. And we're supposed to accept that? Are you guys nuts? They're never going to accept it. Never, ever. But I love you, but if you think that the Palestinians are now more anti-Hamas and more pro-Israel, you have lost your mind. They despise Israel. And they will fight. And hold on, this is the most important point. They are going to fight Israel forever, not because they hate the Jews. Oh my God, they're Nazis. Oh, for no reason at all. They were just walking by and all these Jews came by and they hate them. No, they took their land and they still have it. They have them under their thumb. They can cut off the water, the power, the food, and they're starving them to death. And you think that, what, they just coincidentally hate the Jews and that's their driving ideology? No, they're fighting you because you're occupying them. This is the most obvious thing in the world. Why did the Armenians fight the Turks? Why did the Greeks fight the Turks? Why did everyone fight the Turks at the end of World War I and the end of the Ottoman Empire? Not because they hate the Turks, but because we were occupying them. And if the Greeks said we want to kill them all, which they did, that did not give us a right to go back into Greece, occupy Greece for 75 years ago. How dare you defend yourself? You hate Turks. We get to kill you forever.
All right, well, we'll pick up on that because it's a legitimate question that I think Batya, since he named you, you can go ahead and ask. What does legitimate Palestinian self-defense, if there is such a thing, even in your eyes, look like?
Right, well, so that's what I would ask Shank. Is everything that happened on October 7th legitimate resistance because the Palestinians are occupying?
Great question. So I condemn Hamas for killing civilians. I also condemn the IDF for killing civilians. And now the IDF has killed 30 times the number of civilians that Hamas did. And I know you guys are going to dispute the numbers because that's a very classic thing that people on the oppressor side do.
How many Hamas soldiers do you think have been killed? I just want a number. How many Hamas soldiers?
So, first of all, in terms of the numbers, I go with what is internationally recognized by news organizations and human rights groups.
How many Hamas
And
soldiers have been killed?
so those groups say, no question, that the health ministry, if anything, has been conservative. Well over 33,000 dead overall. They do not know how many of those are Hamas. Israel's at one point made up a number, like, hold on, let me just finish. I'm almost done. At one point, the IDF made up a number, 13,000. And then a couple of weeks later, they changed it to 9,000. So it was obvious that it was made up. Do I trust the 9,000 number? No, because the IDF, everything they have said so far has been disproven by news organizations and human rights organizations. So I don't know what the number of Hamas it killed is, but it is a tiny number. And based on the numbers, even if you took the IDF numbers, the 9,000, already the civilian to military ratio is significantly worse for the IDF than it was for Hamas. So if Hamas are dirty terrorists who went and killed those poor civilians along with the soldiers that they killed, well, then the IDF is also obviously terrorists.
Shay, do you accept Hamas's number that 6,000 of its soldiers? Would you accept Hamas's number that 6,000 of its soldiers have been killed?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay, so you believe Hamas?
Because they're going to. No. I don't believe Hamas. I'm saying that at a minimum. Okay. Because Hamas could be underestimating, but they're not going to overestimate.
I mean, okay, fine. So, I mean, I sort of object morally to taking Hamas at its word and then assuming that the idea.
I object morally at taking Israel at its word. It's been a far worse oppressor.
Let's get to an average. How about 8,000?
Okay,
whatever it is.
Let's move past the number.
What is the civilian to combatant ratio that you would have accepted?
That's a stupid question.
In this war? Is it
50-50, 50-50, 50-50, shut up, 50-50.
As moral and just.
So when you look at the scope of conflicts across the world, not in the past, but in this day and age, after World War II and the law of war crimes were put into place, there are, generally speaking, some ratios that people find awful but acceptable. It's usually well under 2 to 1. So, for example, America would not drop 2,000-pound bombs. They wouldn't even drop 500-pound bombs in Fallujah when they were cornered. Israel's wantonly dropping 2,000 bombs all over the place, and that is why they have a worse civilian to military kill ratio than Hamas. So do you acknowledge, okay, let me ask you back, do you acknowledge that Israel's worse terrorists than Hamas because they're killing more civilians both as a raw number and as a ratio?
No, Shank, because...
Let's get to what the point that he's trying to make is what does legitimate defense on the Israeli part look like? And this is actually something I'd like to hear from Dennis.
The Palestinian part.
Well, we'll get to both.
I'm
sorry.
Okay.
Asking about the Israeli part.
Well,
so we're talking about
I don't believe that you don't distinguish between intentionally targeting women with rape, babies, children, families intentionally being dismembered. I don't believe that you think that is morally equivalent to an army that is targeting combatants.
That's hilarious.
You think those are the same morally?
No, don't put words in my mouth. Let me just address that. No, I have to address that.
I'm saying I don't believe that you think those are the same.
No, first of all, we're talking about two different things here. So when you say, hey, do you condemn and do you find it morally acceptable that they killed the children and raped, etc.? Of course not. That is totally morally unacceptable. But if you say, hey, Israel does not target civilians, that is, I'm sorry, but I think it's a comical point of view. And so they definitely, and by the way, this is really important though. When Hamas kills a baby, we all condemn it. Israel has now killed 15,000 children. And you know what they did? They crushed their skulls, they lit them on fire, and they burned them to death. And you know how they did that? With 2,000-pound bombs.
I do want to answer the legitimate.
And they did it on purpose.
Wrap this up, and then I want to get to Dennis as well.
Yeah, the anger doesn't serve anybody.
Resistance that targets, if Hamas had only targeted military, we would be having a totally different conversation.
Agreed.
Okay? I think we would agree on that.
Yeah.
Resistance that happens in the West Bank that is non-violent. I have a very dear friend who's the head of a non-violent resistance movement in the West Bank. His life is impossible because of the double standard, the double legal standard between Palestinians and Israelis, which is unconscionable. Of course, that is totally. I know you don't know anything about me.
No, I just said I appreciate you acknowledging that.
That is totally legitimate resistance. Military targets, nonviolent resistance, BDS. I don't like it. I find it offensive. I find it a double standard, whatever. I support the right of people to resist through boycotts. That's like a time-honored American tradition. These are all legitimate forms. We're using rape as a tool of war, not legitimate. And we all agree on that, by the way. So I don't think we disagree about this. It's just when you say that the occupation led to October 7th, it sounds like you're saying that it is justified by the oppression.
One second.
Okay,
Dennis, I want to get back to, so I asked originally what legitimate Palestinian self-defense, if even it exists in your mind, looks like, and I would like for Dennis to be able to.
Legitimate Palestinian self-defense would be, we no longer want to destroy Israel, let's make peace. They were offered a state 5 times and they rejected it. I think he's right about this. It seems stupid to the rest of the world that there hasn't been peace, because they've both made outward movements in the last 70 years. We know that both of them want to stop doing this deep down, but then when it comes to the atrocities, they just immediately want to kill each other again. And that's okay, but they have both shown signs of recalcitrance and wanting to change. Now it's becoming unconscionable every day that passes that they don't find peace, and he's angry at them. I understand his anger. Clinton thought that Arafat was a phony, and he did everything possible at Camp David to give them a state. Okay, they don't want a state. They want to destroy Israel.
Yep.
And as regards Palestinians, how's this that none of you like to talk about? There are 2 million Palestinians in Israel as Israeli citizens with the same rights as Jews have in Israel. And not only that, they're pro-Israel. They are more pro-Israel since October 7th than they have ever been, and that is according to Arab sources in Israel. They're occupied. Why aren't they occupied? Why are 2 million Arabs in Israel so happy to be in Israel? Why? Answer that question.
Well,
if Israel wants to commit genocide against, you say genocide all the time. So why are,
if you're gonna ask me a question,
no, I'm asking you both.
Okay, I'm sorry, you were looking at me and you pointed at me.
That's
so
fair enough. I don't distinguish between the two of you.
Okay, I will quote your debate partner. You don't know anything about me. I have oftentimes said that it is true that I would certainly say that I do think, well, I wouldn't say they have exactly equal rights, the Arab citizens of Israel, if you were to be a random Arab citizen of any country in the Middle East, I think you'd rather be a citizen of Israel than a citizen of anywhere else.
Is important.
I 100% agree. That is important. And let me tell you something. If you were going to be a citizen in the United States of America or under Saddam Hussein's Iraq, you would much rather be a citizen in the United States of America. That doesn't justify the war in Iraq. That's the point. It is important. I give Israel a lot of credit. Israel is a great country. By the way, I think the entire Zionist experiment is really amazing when you think about it. That a group of Eastern European Jews sat down and said, we've been through so much that we want to form our own country in a land that we've never been to. We want to base it around a language that we don't speak. We want to get international financing. We want to get all this. And they pulled it off. They actually did it, and they made it a really great place to live for the people who are citizens of Israel. That's not really what's in dispute. The point is that there are 5 million people who are under land that they've controlled since 1967. And at a certain point, you can't just claim, like I've heard people argue, this isn't even really an occupation at this point. This is an annexation. They've taken this land and they've basically said at least
given the state 5 times in
No, I do not. No, I do not. And I'll respond to that. Okay, fine. So let me respond to that.
Yeah.
So you just said that you were talking about Camp David 2. In 2000, you said Arafat was offered everything and he turned it down. 2 things I'll say on that real quick. Okay, number 1, Shlomo Ben-Ami, who was the acting foreign minister at the time in these negotiations, he said himself in his book, and he said it on an interview in Democracy Now!, that if he was Arafat, he'd have turned the deal down too. And I highly recommend one book that I'll recommend for everyone to read, The Truth About Camp David, written by Clayton Swisher. This guy was a security guard there. He went around, interviewed everybody involved for 3 years after the fact. I highly recommend people read that book. The truth is that, yes, Bill Clinton threw Arafat under the bus after the negotiations, but Arafat wanted to continue the negotiations. The Israelis said no, and the Americans said no. That's a fact.
Go ahead, Dennis.
Okay, so this is an excellent example. My motto on my 40 years of radio has been, I prefer clarity to agreement. We don't agree, but it is clear. You think the security guard at Camp David is a reliable source, and Clinton made it up that Arafat was responsible for rejecting it.
I don't think that I don't think that Jeffrey Epstein's rapist friend is a reliable source.
Okay,
yes,
fine.
agreed.
Okay. At the time,
I actually do trust Clayton Swisher. Yes.
Yes. Okay, that's fine. Okay. I don't like Clinton at all, but Clinton,
I knew I'd get you on that.
Clinton, you didn't get me. We happen to agree.
I kind of don't either.
Moral character as
it's
a
funny.
okay, but the issue. No. Okay. So your claim is that they were not offered a state. Is that correct? Tell me yes or no. I don't understand.
Well, it's not yes or no answer. It's not that they weren't offered a state.
Yeah.
It's that what they were offered, and by the way, we can listen to Netanyahu when he doesn't realize he's being recorded, and he's bragging about how much he fooled Bill Clinton because he put all these poison pills in the agreement, and therefore they would never really get a state. What they offered them was nothing that really looks like a state. It was you can have technically 96% of it, but there's Israeli controls all throughout it, and all these different sections are divided against each other.
So here's the big picture. I'll be very, very quick. The average Israeli would do anything to get the hell out of the West Bank and to have peace with their neighbors. That is what Israelis care about. They want to raise their kids. They want to have peace. They want to have prosperity. They want to keep producing the most advanced medicines in the world, as the Israeli medical industry does. They don't want to occupy Arabs. It was forced upon them. It was forced upon them in 1967. And one final key point. The Hamas and Hezbollah and Iran and others all say all of Israel is occupied land, not the West Bank, not Gaza.
All of Israel.
Israel is occupied Palestinian land. That is what from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free means. No Israel.
All right, I'm glad you brought that up. We will be getting to the free speech topic on that. Cenk, you haven't been able to speak. I saw you objecting about the occupation, so go ahead.
There's so many things to object to. Look, guys, I'm not on either side in the sense that I want every Israeli civilian to be protected. I want every Palestinian civilian to be protected. And as a Turk, I'm in kind of the middle here as well, because we also occupied Palestine. We occupied a lot of people, right? So I've been on the Israeli side, and oftentimes when I hear you guys talk, you sound a lot like my Turkish relatives, to be honest. And that's not a great compliment, and I love my Turkish relatives. Sorry, guys. But when you talk about anything that's related to Turkey, Turks are the most angelic
creatures that's ever existed. They never did anything wrong to anybody. Golly gee, them occupying. No, those people wanted to be occupied, et cetera, right? So looking at it, when I look at those peace negotiations, for example, I think that in the beginning, Israel was honestly terrible and violated almost every peace treaty they made. In the middle, they were pretty good. And then at the end now with Netanyahu over the last 20, 25 years, they've been awful, okay? So in the middle where they were good, it's actually not the Camp David Accords and the 2000 negotiations. There's other sources. There's one of the lead American negotiators. I believe his name was Robert Malley. I hope I got that right. He said, oh, this was a fraud. We never really presented a real state to the Palestinians. Jimmy Carter said the same thing. So, but Omer actually offered a pretty decent deal to Abbas if it was a real deal, and I think that he should have taken that. I even think that the deal in 2000, it was not great, but they should have tried harder. Arafat should have tried harder to take that deal, because I remember covering it at the time and thinking, guys, I don't think you get it. You have no leverage. America is going to cheat on the side of Israel from time immemorial. They have the greatest military in the history of the world. You guys have no leverage. Just take any deal, because you're going to be occupied forever. So I want them to take a deal, and I want it to be diplomatic, okay? But in the beginning, yeah, but like this idea that Israel is just, oh my God, they just offered everything. And these Arabs, they just always reject peace. That's ridiculous. After 1967, by the way, one of the peace treaty was, hey, Egypt, Syria, Jordan, especially Egypt and Jordan, recognize Israel, and then Israel was supposed to give back the Sinai Peninsula. And it didn't. And that's what led to the 1973 war. So these kind of violations have happened over and over again. So in terms, and I've got to clarify something that Dennis keeps saying. There's a difference between genocide and Holocaust. So is Israel trying to do a Holocaust of the Palestinians or Muslims or Arabs? No. They're not trying to kill every Muslim or Arab or Palestinian in the world. But that's not what a genocide is. Srebrenica was a genocide. That was 6,000 Muslims killed by the Serbs. They were killed because they were Muslim in the area that they were in, so they were targeted based on their race. The same with the Armenian genocide. Genocide means targeting based on race and usually ethnic cleansing. That is textbook what is happening in West Bank right now. And
Testify.
So when you talk about
they're all bad, they're all good.
Hamas and the Palestinian Authority, Netanyahu wanted to split those two things up so that he could say, and this is, by the way, in the Israeli press, Times of Israel, Haaretz, etc. And the idea there is so that Netanyahu and the right-wingers in Israel can go, oh, we have no negotiating partner. We have no partner for peace because I don't know which one it is. And I know, is it Palestinian Authority? Is it Hamas? Oh, look, Hamas is attacking us. Can you believe they're attacking us after 75 years of occupation?
Dave, but then I want to get Fox.
Okay, well, wait, 75 years of occupation. That is exactly the view. I'm glad you said it. That is the view. Israel itself is occupying Palestinian. It has nothing to do with the West Bank and nothing to do with Gaza. You said 75 years. That's how old Israel is.
Yeah. So, but can I clarify? No, because I want two-state solution. I want Israel to be a safe haven.
So what does 75 years of occupation mean?
20 years we're not. 67. What difference does it make?
All right, moderator, fucking do your job.
Pointing out the strategy of Netanyahu to prop up Hamas, which is widely reported, and I saw you nodding at that. I think there's no denying it at this point. But it's well, hold on,
and humiliated Abbas at the same time.
Right. So, but let's talk about this a little bit, because I think this all kind of ties together here, and it's one of the points that Dennis just made, where you said, look, Israelis don't want to occupy these territories, and that certainly is true. This is my point about being collectivist versus individualist. That is true for many, many Israelis. There are lots of them who were very happy. They were all behind Yitzhak Rabin. Let's make a deal. We don't want to be occupying these guys anymore, right? But then there's also members of the Likud party and people like Benjamin Netanyahu, and one of the explicit reasons, which he has stated in his own words and many high-level Israelis, I could read quotes to you guys for the next hour if you want. They've all said it. The reason why they wanted to prop up Hamas was not only, as Cenk said, so that the international community would never recognize Palestinians, but so that those Israeli citizens wouldn't be able to put pressure on them. Because if it was the PA in charge, so many people in Israel would say, hey, they want to make a deal, let's make a deal. And so the Likud party cynically, intentionally funded and propped up this terrorist organization that is every bit as bad as you've said, Mr. Prager. I agree with you on that. But here's the deal, right? So if that's true, which we all know is true, if that's true that the Likud party propped up Hamas so they wouldn't face internal pressure and they wouldn't face external pressure to give the Palestinians their freedom, then I'm sorry, that blows up the Israeli defense for this war. That, hey, it sure does suck that we got to kill these innocent people, but we got to get these Hamas. You propped up Hamas so that these innocent people would never get their freedom. You don't then get to use that group as an excuse for why you can slaughter them. Sorry, no reasonable person can defend that.
For the record, so that everyone knows, it was the Palestinian Authority, before the word Hamas was ever known, that murdered all the members of the Israeli Olympic team in the Munich 72 Olympics. True. That this portrayal of the Palestinian Authority minus Hamas as wonderful people is sick.
No, but the point is they changed. Yeah, but the point is, see, but this is such a cheap, that's such a cheap cop-out to point to one atrocity in history. It is an atrocity.
All the blown-up buses, all the blown-up schools.
What happened in Amsterdam?
That was all PA.
Israel just murdered.
Cigar, can I just say one thing? Just one thing quickly. Sorry, all right. To just point to one atrocity and then say get out of jail free
I think it is objectively true that there has been atrocities that have been committed by the PLO and also by members, not necessarily of the Israeli government, but certainly the Israeli paramilitary organization. Sometimes the Israeli government as well. Batya, I do want to get the response. I do want to get the response to this whenever it comes to the genocide question, because that's one that is very hot right now, specifically for the American audience. This is a key point of the intra-left debate around Joe Biden and his candidacy. So, Batya, I would like for you to respond and to make the case around why Israel is or is not committing a genocide. We'll stick on this question and we'll get some responses from over here as well. So, Batya, go ahead.
I don't believe Israel is committing a genocide. Precisely because of how Schenck defined the word genocide, which is the intentional targeting of a people based on their ethnicity or their race. And that's clearly not happening here. I mean, first of...
We'll get to you soon.
Aren't you curious what I'm going to say?
You're up soon. What date is next?
You know, they're not being targeted because they're Muslims or Arabs or Palestinians. They're being targeted because Hamas has embedded itself within a civilian population, right? None of us would accept, I hope, that if they had only killed, let's say 6,000 Hamas terrorists, that would be a genocide, right? We would understand that that was a military campaign to rid Israel of a danger threatening to its civilians. These people who have been killed as a result of Israel's attempt to eradicate Hamas. And so to suggest that they are being targeted because of their race or I mean, we don't believe that. We know that that's not the case. We know that if they were Palestinians living in Israel or living in Jordan, Israel would not be they would not be dying as a result of Israel's actions. And furthermore, you can point to all of the ways in which Israel has tried to move the civilian population out of the way. Yep. They moved 1 million people out of northern Gaza into Khan Yunis and into Rafah and into southern Gaza to get them out of the way. Now, I see you smiling. You're probably thinking to yourself, oh, she's proving my point. It's ethnic cleansing. But here's the point. I mean, it's either the ethnic cleansing charge and the genocide charge are a little bit contradictory, right? Okay. Because if they were trying to commit a genocide and just simply, eradicate the world of Gaza's Muslim population, surely they would not be moving civilians out of harm's way while they're trying to get rid of the presence of Hamas in a certain place or not.
Are you saying that it is more akin to an ethnic cleansing, or it's not a genocide?
I think it's really funny to both claim that Israel doesn't do enough to protect civilians and then to use a word like ethnic cleansing, like a nasty, accusatory, racist word, when they actually did try, like ethnic, like to suggest they're doing something, racist when they tried to protect the civilian lives of the people living in northern Gaza.
I want to get Dave. Because you dominated last time, so Dave, you're up.
Okay, so look, I want to just say that in terms of the charge of genocide, I don't use the word genocide. I just think that the debate devolves into semantics every time you use it. The international legal definition of genocide is so incredibly vague that it's like if you try to destroy a nationality or ethnicity in whole or part. So then, like, if you were to, like, murder 2 people of an ethnicity, is that I just don't even care about the debate. I'm saying it's wrong. And in terms of, like, the term ethnic cleansing, there is no debate every single new historian in Israel concludes that there was ethnic cleansing at the beginning of the creation of Israel. Now, I know, I'm just making that point. I just want to go back to revisit something here because I literally just made what I feel is the most important point of all of this about that I think the entire Israeli defense is destroyed when you add in the component that they intentionally propped up Hamas so that the Palestinians wouldn't get their freedom. And as a response, Mr. Prager invokes an atrocity that happened once. And I'm like, okay, that was an atrocity.
Only because I didn't have
Yeah, let me just finish. All right, well, let me just finish. Yes, I know you could invoke
spend the rest of the day or evening.
Yes, okay, can I just finish?
Non-Hamas Palestinian atrocities.
What happened to Alldayerrydaybaby? You want to have
It was 1948.
So what? Okay,
there is
so
no
what?
war in the history of the world where
see,
you
this
have
is
not
so
had
it's a cop-out. So
no, it's not a cop-out. I'm acknowledging the area I sin was awful.
Okay, so by the way, hold on, let me just finish my sentence and then you guys can continue.
So it proves what
right, exactly, it proves nothing. My point is
why did you make it?
Because I'm mirroring how your point proves nothing. You're just dodging. You're just dodging the point that I was making about this current war. Yes, it's objectively true. There have been horrific, ungodly atrocities committed by both sides.
Not both sides. That's a lie. That is a libel. It is not true.
Oh, it's a libel. Okay.
You're other than Deir Yassin, which was during wartime of a village and absolutely terrible. Tell me where there's been Israeli atrocities comparable to Palestinian atrocities. Go ahead. Everybody quiet. Name it. Or you libeled. Name it. Or you, yes.
Wait, so why is the one I... Wait, hold on. So the one I said doesn't count? Why? Because it was during wartime?
No, because it is an exception.
Oh, so...
To make a generalization, Israel commits atrocities and Palestinian commits atrocities. You can't name one other than in 1948 in a village during a war. That is a libel of Israel, and you're dishonest.
Hold on. So, listen, you can keep saying the word libel. That's
Yes,
fine.
it is a libel to morally equate atrocities on both sides. That is a libel.
What do you mean by libel?
Libel means, Israel is as guilty of atrocity as the Palestinians is a libel of Israel. I don't know why that's complex.
Well, hold on. Well, I was asked the question here. Well, I'm just saying, if wars don't count, then fine. But if you want to ask for the atrocity, it's happening right now in Gaza. So I don't know what point you're trying to prove.
These are atrocities.
Yes.
Oh, I see. So this is the same as blowing up school buses of children.
I didn't say it's the same.
Them.
No,
yes,
I didn't.
Then you're using the same term.
You said that. I didn't say that. Okay, I'll be very, very quick. My point was that you mentioning an atrocity that happened in the past did not counter the point that I just made, that this destroys Israel's defense for this war. And I just made the point that I could name atrocities too. You're now claiming that I'm equating things that I never said were the same and accusing me of libel, which is tired. Sir, respectfully, it's a tired accusation.
They both commit atrocities is tired. Okay, that's what's
no, that's
tired.
a fact.
That's a fact.
That's a fact.
Okay, go ahead, Cenk.
Yeah, well, he lives in a different planet. Okay, so first the genocide thing. Let me just finish that real quick, and then
live on a different planet.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So first of all, just finishing up the genocide real quick. Every genocide defender who says the same thing, and I don't mean it in a personal way, guys. I just mean that the Serbs literally at the International Criminal Court said, well, we didn't target them because they're Muslims, we targeted them because they were there and they were against us. The Turks said, we didn't target them because they're Armenians, it's because they struck us first and they did this rebellion and they were killing Turkish civilians. What the hell were we supposed to do? We had to move them and we had to kill them. So we had a right to defend ourselves. You're mirroring exactly what every defender of a genocide says. Well, and what I say back to the Turks, my own people, is, yeah, you didn't kill Norwegians, you didn't kill people from Botswana, you killed Armenians, and you targeted Armenians. And in the same exact way, Israel is targeting Palestinians. The fact that it's because they're there doesn't help that case at all. You're moving them, you're killing them, and you're targeting Palestinians. That is a genocide.
America target Germans.
Okay, so hold on, I haven't even, that's just a quick point on genocide. I didn't even get to the actual thing, because he's making a point about...
Your mate doesn't agree with the word genocide.
Okay,
it's a difference between...
Okay, so I don't care at all.
That's okay.
So there's a lot we don't agree on. He's a libertarian and progressive. So
we disagree on everything. It's just this is so terrible. We agree on this.
Yeah. So now the core of the thing is,
Like this, the reason I said Dennis lives on a different planet is, he says, name one Israeli atrocity. Everyone out there that isn't an Israeli supporter is screaming into the camera, right now! Right now! So, for example, Hamas killed 34 kids on October 7th. I came out immediately, condemned it in the strongest words. I can't believe it. How is that helpful? It's immoral, it's counterproductive, it's dumb, it's terrible in every way. 34 poor Israeli kids. There are now 15,000 dead Palestinian kids. And you're telling me that Israel hasn't committed atrocities? So guys, what we are seeing with our own eyes is that Gaza is decimated. They destroyed the entire place, and 85% of... Okay, sorry. And over 85% of Palestinians have been displaced. There's 1.1 million people starving to death, and you still can't see it. And that's what's amazing about bias, that you look at how they have killed over 33,000 people. Okay, say 6,000 as Hamas, say 9,000 as Hamas. You still have...
I couldn't do anything. I was hammering and hammering.
Children, and you go, what atrocities?
There's this point where there's so much incoming damage from just even 2 mobs that while you're potioning back to half health, it'll just kill you. It's insane. You put too much pressure in this game all the time. There's like constantly too many mobs on. It's insane, to the point where the incidental damage from all of the mobs on the screen is outtaking how much a potion heals you. It's so stupid. It's such a terrible way to design. Like, god damn it, man. I've always hated it. It's my biggest complaint about this game. What would you do for a Klondike bar? He's like, would you kill a man? He's like, yeah. This is so fucked up. Okay, so I don't know what I want to do here, but I don't think I can do this one. There's so many mobs. Oh yeah, this one, okay. This one isn't that bad, but I don't know. The rapier is weak. It's like weak. I don't know why I'm not doing any damage, but I don't really do any damage, which makes no sense. The eye level's all there. I mean, I don't know. What is the current eye level? Can you raise it higher? I have no idea what's going on. Keep thinking about this stupid game Soul Mask. It might be good. It actually looked kind of good. Oh no, I can't really just fucking haul off and buy a game right now. God damn it, you're annoying. You're gonna get the kill. So, gonna die. I don't want to do this one. This one sucks. This is like one of the hardest things to do in the game. It's stupid. It takes forever to do. You have to fight like 500 mobs. It's so dumb. Like, it's fun, but I don't really want to, like... If I was using heavy weapons that I had, like, capped out, it would be easy. But with these D-leveled weapons that are only, like, level 17... And the rapier is just weak. I dislike how weak it is. It just doesn't do killing damage. It's the kind of damage you can heal through. It's not good damage. It's frankly sad, because I really think this might be my favorite weapon, honestly. It's such an aggro weapon. See it? It's like all fucking blah, you know? but it's weak. It's weird. It's like not weak in PvE, but it's incredibly weak in PvP. It does like nothing. And it's weird because like this little thing, this move is super good in PvE, but in PvP it just misses them all the time. It's just annoying. Like a lot of the hitboxes and stuff. Sometimes I wish the game was a little better for how addictive the game is. It's not that good, you know. It has all kinds of problems. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of done with Brimstone. Or no, I guess I have to go do that. I still haven't done that. Okay, so we'll go do that, I guess. So, yeah, I've been doing like MSQ very slowly. My desire to play Rust suddenly went to like 0. Which is weird. It's like my experience with Rust now is like it's like a heroin fix, and when I get a good like 10-day binge or something like that, I'm done for like 3 months. And it's never been like that for me. It's always like, oh, I want to play it really bad. But this game came on with the same fervor that Rust did. Like this game came right back. And when I realized that they fixed the frame rate, even in fucking like look how good the frame rate is in Everfall. It's the best it's ever been. This is the best it's ever. This is the best this game has ever been. I didn't think they would improve this sort of stuff, but I'm very happy that they did. With my new computer in August, this game's going to look really good on a 4090. Maybe I'll move to 1440p. I'm not really like playing the other games that I have loaded right now. It sucks that you can't talk to him while you have this. It's the safest it's ever been to rejoin the New World push, because it's like in September they're adding this to console, and it's going to be cross console too, cross platform. So I'm excited for that. It's going to really revolutionize this thing. Like they're going to redo everything so the frame rate's super good, even on the controller. They're going to make an earnest attempt to save the game. And honestly, I could see controller doing pretty well for this game. I forget that you can use controller on this game now, but you also can't really, I don't know if you can like bind the controller that well. But I don't know, like I don't really like controllers anymore. I don't think I ever want to touch another controller again, honestly. After I learned how bad Hanzo is on a controller compared to Hanzo on a mouse, I didn't ever want to touch a controller ever again. Some of the AAA has definitely jaded me as a gamer pretty bad. Things that I loved when I was a kid, I don't even like anymore. Like controllers, you know? That's fucking weird. Oh, I am tired. It is 4 a.m. I'm going to stop now, guys. I'm sorry. I normally would have gone longer, but I had a kind of a shorter period today because I spent 2 hours walking and then 2 hours doing yard work, and that 4 hours definitely did affect my day. I didn't get to work until like 3 p.m. or something like that. But right as this ends, I will be able to post yesterday's videos, which is kind of cool timing. I'm beginning to see it now. See it? In about 30 minutes, this will be done. And I will post yesterday's videos right as I start uploading today's. And I actually would not mind that 1 day gap. I don't mind doing a one day gap. I think that's all right. My views have been good. Like pretty good, I would say. Hells yeah. And, I'm happy. I think it's all right. don't care if you keep putting a bunch of stupid shit in it. Like, I'm just excited for... Yeah, I'm just excited for... You know, I didn't really do all of the daily stuff in Angry Earth, but I mean, I'm working on Brimstone too. Brimstone does have content, so does Angry Earth. What am I doing now? I was going to sell all of these copper ingots, but I guess I don't need to. Oh, I was going to buy stuff. Right. I'm going to buy copper. Oh, my thing is ending. I'm sorry. There we go. And so, yeah, this was a good session. I'm going to end here. I'm just going to buy this last bit of copper. And log EvE right as the downtime approaches, and what was only like 200 mil and it had like 600 DPS. It was the fucking Ferox Navy issue. Gets really good damage. Okay, so we are done with this, right? Did I buy out all the copper? Yes, I did. I bought out all the copper. Okay, it's been a good session. Just a reminder. Sorry, it's 4 in the morning. I'm tired. I'm gonna stop. So just a reminder, guys, you've been watching Skycat.live. I'm a full-time variety gamer all day, every day. Put me on in the background. Click on the cat's face to donate if you're on YouTube, because I am not an affiliate of YouTube yet, but I am an affiliate of Twitch. And I want to say thank you for your time for watching me on Twitch and all the follows and everything that I've gotten this week. It's been really good. Thank you so much for your time. I love you guys. I will be on tomorrow to play a bit more of the Rust Wipe and some more New World and some more EvE and some more FFXI. And that's all I have for you. Thank you so much. I love you guys. Thank you for hanging out with me. And y'all have a good day. So yesterday's video will be posted here in the next half an hour. I just got to do the titles. I had them all written out, but YouTube, of course, erased all that work and forced me to repost. Because, every single software entity is now incompetent, makes you redo all your work 4 or 5 times. But now, it's okay. I got finally to get it all uploaded, and it'll go up here right as this session ends. And this video, which was 11 and a half hours, will be posted to my channel. And I want to say thank you so much for your time. Tomorrow I'm going to work on my tan some more, going to get some sun, and and I love you guys. Thank you for hanging out with me. Have a wonderful day. Bye.